Welcome to SicEm365 Radio, presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com.
Johnson was coming after him, still chasing the quarterback, and forces him back inside, the ball out as he hit the ground. And the officials say the Bears have it.
They drop out in coverage. Under pressure, Ellinger! It's Lynch. And James Lynch wraps him up.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
On the fake, on the slant, it's Denzel Mims, and the Bears take the lead.
Here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. This 3 o'clock hour on SicEm365 Radio, and we will be joined momentarily by Olympic sprinter Trayvon Bromell, the former Baylor All-American. He'll join us in a moment. Charlie Ward, Heisman Trophy winner today. He'll join us at 3:30, plus much more, including today Taya Cooper from the Baylor Lady Bears at 4:20. We will go around the circle when it comes to college football and so much to get to, but right now we're joined by Trayvon Bromell, Olympic sprinter, with us on SicEm365 Radio. Trayvon, when you found out, thank you first of all for joining us on the show today. When you found out the Olympic Games were being pushed back, what was your initial reaction, and how does that affect you in various ways?
It was a big thing, so of course, like with the Olympic Games being every 4 years, such an historic event, like just being in position to see, like, wow, it's not going to be Olympic Games this year. It's like, it's mind blowing. I'm pretty sure it's mind blowing to everybody around the world and those who like participate in the games. It's crazy, but for somebody like me, like I've been coming off of my injury and getting stronger day by day and progressing throughout these past couple of years. For me, I'm 50-50. Like, I'm like, man, it's crazy that it's happening, but at the same time, it's giving me more time to get prepared for next year.
So do you feel better about it because you have that time?
Yeah, that's the confusing part. Like I said, it's crazy because I'm like, man, I can't think of just not watching the Olympics this year, but at the same time, I can get better so I can be in those Olympics for people to watch, So, yeah, it's hard. I'm really positive about how the whole thing played out, but of course, I wish it was still this year. But things happen for a reason.
Trayvon, where were you in your training? I mean, had you kind of ramped up to a certain point? Kind of where were you before the news hit, and then how did that sort of wind things down for you? That's the crazy part. Like, I feel like even in my group alone, like, our whole training camp has been progressing and we've just been putting up numbers and times in practice that just projected us to do well, this season. And it's just crazy when the news hit us. It was just like, wow, like, it's like, man, we've been working so hard, and it's just been an ongoing process of getting better and just nothing but, positivity. And then something like this happened. It hit us pretty hard as a group, which I'm pretty sure it hit all the training groups and athletes around the world hard. Like, man, we work so hard, and with our sport for the Olympics, that's our big stage. It's every 4 years. So for us, this is like this is our pride and joy. Because like, man, we get to be, on that big stage in front of the world, doing what we love, and just for it to just, come from up under the rug like that because of this pandemic, and it's crazy. It hit us pretty hard.
Trayvon, you had everything at your fingertips. You had run, what was it, a 9.84. You were just flying around. You were as elite as anybody was in the game, in the event of sprints, of obviously Olympic running. And then all of a sudden things started to kind of chip away at you, your Achilles and your heel and all that, the bone spur. What did you learn about yourself during that time when things became difficult? What did you learn about yourself when it happened and how you got through it?
Honestly, I can tell you like this. When everything happened, I can honestly say I feel like I lost myself in it all. I was 19. I was still a teenager when I turned pro, and just everything that came with it. I was pretty young, just not knowing how to move around and maneuver through the situations. I feel like I found myself and my purpose of what I needed to do when the time comes back of God putting me back into this sport.
like I tap back into that mentality of like, okay, Trey, you gotta understand like what you're doing is not for yourself. Like it's bigger than you. So I think I've learned more about myself. I learned more about my religious state, my faith, and it's been a crazy ride. But honestly, most people don't they don't know this, but I look at it like, shoot, I'm happy for those years off that I did have to refine myself, and now I'm ready to get back into the sport and show the world what's to come.
Trayvon, how does your training change now that you have dropped, that you have to drop off and wait for another year?
My training it changes right now in the moment, just because just with everything going on. Of course, like facilities are shut down and not be able to progress with our normal practicing. But things happen, and for me mentally, it's no big deal. Like I come from a situation where we didn't really have too many places to train when I was younger. We had to make do with what we had. So and from where I'm from, we didn't have too much, and it was able to produce me to the guy that y'all see today. So in a situation like this don't change nothing for me. It might change for a lot of other people who may not have to endure situations like this coming up in the sport. Like I've been doing this since I was 6 years old, and up until I was 18, I had to run in situations where I didn't have a track, and all we had was just what was there. So right now it just takes me back to my old ways. It actually give me more hunger. Like, hey, this is part of the story. So when the time comes to tell that story, it's going to be one to enjoy.
You just talked about being 6 years old and running back then. When did the Olympics actually get on your radar as far as an actual goal for you? What turned it from, that's something that people dream of, to actually being your dream to run in the Olympics?
I want to say probably like when I was around about like 14 years old. Like it really it hit me when I was running track and just learning more about the history, just seeing people run. I'm just like, man, like I want to be on that stage. Like I always loved running. I always love, giving the crowd the entertainment that they paid for, that they wanted to come watch. So I was like, man, I want to get on that big stage. I want to, shock the world. So ever since then, it's just been on my mind to get there.
What will it mean to you to represent when that time comes? And obviously there's still work to do, and then there's trials and all the training before then. What will it mean to you if you become an Olympian and represent the United States?
Oh, well, I mean, I guess I've already been an Olympian with making the 2016 team, but, in God's will, I make my next team next year. Man, it's going to mean a lot. And it's not, like I said, taking it back to not being just me, man. It's been a train ride full of people on board with this, helping me get here, from doctors, from, coaches and everything. Like, it's just been a long journey. And I just can't wait to get to that point so I can thank them humbly, to thank them for all their hard work that they put into me, because the world could have gave up, coaches could have gave up, trainers could have gave up. I'm just like, hey, this kid is done. But everybody stayed through it with me. So making that team is not going to be for me. It's going to be for them.
In a team perspective, how close are the United States to kind of reclaiming the dominance of the sprint events?
Well, I feel this past season showed the world that, the U.S. is here to try to take a stand and, reclaim that dominance and be the top team in the games and the events, especially like on the sprint side. We got a lot of guys running fast. So, I think we made a statement last year, and I think the goal is just to keep building, just keep putting faith front and just keep moving forward.
What's that feeling like when you've won a race and you and perhaps your teammates are there and you've got that American flag draped over you? I mean, just the pride of being where you're from, the pride of, getting a victory in something that you love to do and work hard for. But just what's that feeling like? Because not many people get to experience being on a big stage and representing their country in that way.
Oh, the feeling is like no other. Like I can't speak from any other perspective of sport. Like it's probably like, an NFL championship or an NBA final. It's one that, you have the crowd, you got thousands of people in the stands cheering. You have, music going in some of the most beautiful stadiums out there. Like I was, blessed to run in like the Birds. That's so historic, and, just the crowd, and it's it's crazy. Like, I don't think it's a feeling that you can't reenact these things. These are once in a lifetime opportunities and feelings that you be able to witness. So it's humbling, man. Like you standing out there and you just like, wow, like you feel on top of the world.
Trayvon Bromell, Baylor, of course, All-American and a 2016 Olympic Games, and now has to hold off a little bit, as so many others do, because Tokyo Olympic Games have been pushed back for a year. What are some things that you've been doing during this time when we don't, when it's just not normal? What are you able to do to keep yourself, well, I guess training, you can do that, but anything else that you've kind of picked up as a hobby?
Man, I do a lot of things, man. I finished up my master's degree in February, so that was a big blessing. I also do like film and digital media, so like I do a lot of film and photography. I make music. I play my video game with my friends and old teammates. Like I kind of do it all, So I try to keep myself kind of active, trying to stay learning about myself more, doing other things, just trying to stay, just trying to stay active. Like I don't ever want to just be at the house not doing nothing. So I always try to keep something, something going in my life.
What's the master's degree in?
Entertainment and business.
Okay.
Oh, that suits you.
Yeah.
Big personality. You're the first, I think, that we've asked what people are doing during quarantine. You're the first person that doesn't answer Tiger King right away, watching Tiger King. Have you watched that just yet?
Man, you want to know what's funny? I don't even really watch television like that. And my brother, he always makes fun of me because he say, Trey, every TV show that the world say they love, you don't even like it or even try to watch it. I'm like, man, I'm not a TV guy, man. Like I could be doing something like I said, do my photography, my videography. Like, shoot, I could be trying to get into another class or something to try to expand my knowledge. I could be doing something like, nothing wrong with watching television. Don't get me wrong. So I don't want nobody to come after me and that. Like, hey, shout out to the Tiger King. But, I just never really been a TV guy. That's just never been me. I go to sleep, wake up. I don't even got cable. I just got internet. I'll watch like Apple TV, like movies, but that's it.
I've told Paul and Craig, the co-host of this show, I probably have turned on my TV twice in the last 3.5 weeks. And I don't think it's because there's no live sports. I just, for some reason, I'm not connected to any specific shows. Do you feel like, because of what your entertainment and business, do you feel like being a sprinter, you guys have a flair? I mean, so does someone that maybe does the pole vault or the high jump or whatever, but do you feel like you're almost in the entertainment business as a sprinter?
In a sense. Well, for my master's degree in entertainment business, I took the sports track because eventually I do want to be an agent. I love to help people. I want to help manage people and put people in position. So, like with mine, I felt personally why it was so fitting for me is because I have such a great agent, and I'm able to be in the office with big businesses and big companies and CEOs, and being able to be on corporate meeting phone calls and even negotiating stuff with like my own contract, to where I feel like I know the management business, like I know the ins and outs of the whole thing. And like I said, so me going to school and getting that degree, I just wanted to gain more knowledge, just like on that financial accounting side and just negotiating and deal making. I just wanted to know all that. Like I wanted to gain that knowledge, and I wanted to put people in the right position.
Trayvon Bromell, Olympic sprinter, of course, All-American at Baylor, with us on SicEm365. You're in a sport where in the 100, you have the qualifying, and then you make the Olympic team, and then all of a sudden, I mean, it's down to less than 10 seconds. I mean, boom, it's over. And then you're on the and I don't want to bring up a bad memory, I promise you, but I've always been completely amazed at the timing and the precision and the kind of work it takes on the 4x100, because all it takes is like a wind gust or something to throw you guys off. How really difficult, sensitive, and whatever else the words are, is the 4x100?
Man, the people look at it and they see like, okay, they're handing the baton off and, just run. Man, the 4x1 has to be one of the most mind-frightening things in the world, because just like any other sport, that is probably the one event to where we feel like we have to count on other people than ourselves. So you have to think, we go the whole year practicing, training, pushing ourselves to the extent just for us in our own individual event. So then you got things like the 4x1 where most of the countries don't train for it until after their national championship. So we training only for like a week or so. And you're telling us that you about to pick the 4 fastest guys in the nation. You about to put them on a relay that they never practiced with each other before. And then go against some of the fastest men in the world. Like, you talking, like you said, like the smallest mess up can take you out. So that has to be the most frightening thing, to be at a world championship or an Olympic game and you see these guys flying around the track. All it takes is one mishap with not seeing the hand, or you might clip somebody's foot, or anything can happen. Because it's not like in college that you practicing every single day. Like, you just meeting these guys for the first time throughout the year, y'all practicing only for a couple of days, and you telling me to go compete on the biggest stage of the sport and make this happen.
Man, Trayvon, I would imagine, too, just in a sport like track, the egos. I mean, just because each guy thinks they're the fastest or they've been the fastest, wherever they come from, but you get people from all over the country in this case, or all over the world, and I would imagine that's something that you also kind of have to balance, because you're confident in yourself, but you know that everybody else is just as confident that they're the fastest guy.
Yeah, so it's different. Like, I think it's different with me. Like, once I realized that I knew I was fast, I never put myself in a situation where I told myself, like, oh, I'm faster than him, The one thing that I've always told myself, I'm like, Trey, you're a beast. Like, you work hard every day. And I learned this from my teammate, because I heard him say it in an interview one time, like, why can't I be the great? And I always tell myself that before a race. I don't never try to compare or be like, oh, yeah, I know I'm faster than that guy. I'm like, man, look. At the end of the day, we all fast. That's the reason why we get paid until we do. But we have to understand, like, man, when I step on that line, it's either you're going to have to come catch me or I'm going to pull away. I may not be the fastest person, but on that day, whatever happens, happens. And that's how I live by it. And that's why I think I never put myself in worry, because I'm like, look, you might slip out the blocks. You might clip your toe trying to drag. Like, something can happen. Anything can happen in this sport. It's so black and white. So it's like, I just try to tell myself, like, Trey, you a beast just like everybody else. Go out there and run.
Man. Have you ever tried to intimidate somebody before? You don't sound like that's, you just go with yourself. It is, because you see guys kind of flexing a little bit, staring people down.
Man, they do it all the time in the sport. And it's so funny, because I be laughing. If you ever watch some of my races, sometimes I be smiling, but I be wanting to laugh, because some people do it, like, and I tell people like this, I'm like, look, like, I come from humble beginnings, so it ain't too much you can do to try to scare me. Like, I done seen things way scarier than somebody in spandex trying to run fast. Like, you beating on your chest, you know what I'm saying? You beating on your chest, you getting all, I'm like, man, you about to make me laugh. This is a comedy show at this point.
Oh, my God.
Like, I never understood why people do it. I'm like, man, it's funny to me. Like, I've had people do it, like, in my races all the time. And I'm just like, look, like, man, it don't scare me. I'm sorry.
I know we got to go, and you do as well, but your time at Baylor, a place that has obviously raised great track athletes into whatever they've done at Olympic. We have Jeremy Warner on. We've had Clyde Hart on. Obviously, there's the many others, Michael Johnson. What did it mean, your time at Baylor? What did it mean to your life?
Man, my time at Baylor meant everything to me. Like, I promise you, it's one that I'll never forget. I love Baylor Nation to death. Like I said, like, coming out of high school, I didn't have the grades like that. I really didn't, I wasn't that guy that really cared too much about school. Like, it was just all sports with me. Like, I didn't even know I was gonna go to college. And then my coach, Coach Ford, he had hit me up, and he was like, man, like, hey, we're gonna try to get you in. I'm not gonna leave you behind. And he got me into Baylor, and all they said I had to do was prove to them that, I was educated enough to stay in and do what I needed to do, and I proved that, and they stuck by me, man. They never gave up on me. The track team never gave up on me. It was nothing but love since I've been there, and still to this day, like, because I don't know if y'all know, but now I train down in Florida with a new coach, with Raina Ryder, and and I still get love from Baylor. Still at the end of the day, like, my old coach, Coach Ford, still talked to me like. The coaches still hit me up, check up on me, like, and it's just nothing but love. Like, it's a family. Like, it wasn't just athletes and coaches. It's a bond, and it's crazy, man. I ain't gonna lie. It was hard for me to leave, but I know I know they care for my career and they care for me enough to say, Trey, it's time to, go to the next level.
Well, and we started the show off with you because of that love from Baylor Nation, but also because of what you represent. Thanks for jumping on with us today. Good luck in kind of just treading water or whatever you do, and stay in shape, and good luck with everything. And we'll talk to you again maybe at this time next year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, absolutely. Trayvon Bromell. Paul, do you remember when he committed to Baylor,
a
young kid out of Florida?
I do. I remember that very well.
It was Gibbs High School, I think it was, in St. Petersburg?
Yeah, he was a big-time recruit, as you can see now. I mean, he didn't see all 4 years at Baylor and made his way to the Olympics pretty quickly. And, he was a huge pickup for them at the time and proved to be, worth the hype, because he went out and won some races and showcased himself well enough to now have this opportunity that's suddenly being taken away this summer. But there's no doubt that there will be a lot of Baylor flavor in the Olympics moving forward, in big part due to Trayvon Bromell.
We'll have a couple of things, college football, and then we'll have another Heisman Trophy winner on this show. Charlie Ward of Florida State will join us at 3:30. And we have much more to go. There's a lot going on. Vice President Pence with some of the commissioners in college football, the playoff, all this, plus a note of how much, in fact, revenue would be lost across the board if college football is not played this year. All of that next. Then Charlie Ward at 3:30. This is SicEm365 Radio. Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be, with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high-performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be, with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodward. PettyClinicLowT.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like these, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illness and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI. And please, remember to follow CDC guidelines and practice social distancing. Stay home, except for the essentials, and be safe. Together, we'll get through this.
Our communities are facing unprecedented times. At Boozer's Jewelers, we care about you and your family. If you're like me, your home has unwanted or unused jewelry lying around. They can have value, and that means we can turn that jewelry into instant cash. This is a great way to get the most value from your unwanted jewelry. At Boozer's Jewelers, we buy all kinds of unused jewelry. So give us a call and let us give you peace of mind and cash for your unwanted or unused jewelry.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Here we go, SicEm365 Radio. Charlie Ward will join us in the next segment, so let's talk some college football. Today, Vice President Mike Pence was on the phone, is that right?
Yep.
With the commissioners of college football, and the words back from them are, no sports in college until students are allowed back on campus.
That's correct. It was the College Football Playoff Management Committee that was with our vice president to have this discussion on the impact of coronavirus and its effect on college athletics. Bob Bowlesby of the Big 12, who was one of those on the call, said, our players are students. If we're not in college, we're not having contests. Our message was we need to get universities and colleges back open, that we were education-based programs, and we weren't going to have sports until we had something closer to normal college going on. So that was just a couple of comments from Bob Bowlesby, and that seemed to be the kind of overall theme for all of those on the committee that were speaking with the vice president. So, we had the conversation with Mac Rhodes yesterday. He was asking a lot of these questions about, okay, well, if you have a timeline for football, what does that mean as far as regular students getting back on campus? And that's a question we don't have an answer to right now. So that was a lot of the discussion in that committee meeting today.
Well, and Dr. Anthony Fauci today did a Snapchat where he said that the only way of bringing sports back, professional sports, this summer is by holding events without fans in attendance, which is the inverse of what college athletics needs. College athletics gets most of their money from the gate, and professional sports gets most of their money from television, and then they keep them in hotels. He said have them tested every single week and make sure they don't wind up infecting each other or their family, and let them just play the season out, and that's what they would do. But then again, that brings up an issue that we've talked about. Okay, so if you're a Major League Baseball player or an NBA player, you can get a test every single week, but if one of the four of us in the studio right now decides that we're not feeling well, we may not be able to get one.
Well, we'd get a test eventually because we're not feeling well, and they would test us. But as far as a preventive measure, no. We wouldn't be able to get one in this room, and that's just the haves and the have-nots on full display right there. But you brought up the ticket part of this, and you wonder, okay, well, college athletics is so worried about fans being in the stands. What about other sports leagues? How does that affect the NFL? Well, the NFL is in a very good spot, financially. And Darren Ravel, I think, was the one that had passed along this note that ticket revenue for college football is 75% of their money. Some may or may not know that. It's 75%, though, of what they take in. It's only 15% of what the NFL takes in, fans in the stands. So that's why they can afford to have a season and not feel too much of an effect if, in fact, fans weren't allowed in the stands. But for college football, it's a whole different animal.
One quick note, then we break. We come back with Heisman Trophy winner Charlie Ward. This is from Steve Berkowitz. He does a lot of financial stuff in college athletics. If college football is not played this school year, Power 5 public school athletics departments stand to lose $4.1 billion, an average of $78 million per school. Some schools bring in more than others based on the conference, based on the television, also then as well what you guys have talked about. And then you have people like Texas that has the Longhorn Network. I guess they still get their check every month from ESPN. When we come back, we have other news on the WWE, on UFC, and much more.
I do want to make mention, though, in college football related news, this is why you saw a piece yesterday that we did not flush out. Maybe we can talk about it later, about the kind of need to expand the playoff sooner rather than later because of the financial pitfalls that a lot of these schools are facing. So this crisis could somehow in turn lead to an expanded playoff just simply to try to recoup some of the money they're missing out on right now.
When we come back, Florida State Heisman Trophy winner, current basketball coach in the state of Florida, Charlie Ward, SicEm365 Radio.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas. Our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. In today's world, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. We even offer financing. Everything's included in the price, and more importantly, you'll not get a bill in the mail later on. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule an appointment safely from home, online in minutes at idealmri.com, or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI. And please remember to follow CDC guidelines and practice social distancing. Stay home, except for the essentials, and be safe, and together we'll get through this at idealmri.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Waco, Texas, a place with its own unique history and a future bright with promise, full of remarkable growth and opportunity. And what makes it all work is its people, families, raising children, growing businesses. Wacoans are hardworking with a passion for what's next, and we're proud to be from here, helping Waco to grow and prosper. We are the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local to see an equal housing lender.
Well, that was fun. FaceTime from Charlie Ward, huh?
Not bad.
Charlie Ward, Heisman Trophy winner, Florida State national champion, played in the NBA, one of the great athletes overall. He's a high school basketball coach right now in Florida, and he'll join us here momentarily on SicEm365 Radio. Hey, Grayson Grundhafer has a great job. He did a great job on the commitment. Tevin Williams out of Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Yep.
And Tevin will join us today around 4:30 and discuss all of the recruitment with Baylor. Brian Stewart was heavily involved, along with, of course, Dave Aranda. Joey McGuire had his hand in that as well. And then also, Jason King had a question and answer with former Baylor running back Shock Linwood.
Mm-hmm.
And that's up on the premium content, SicEm365.com. So two different pieces that hit the premium content. You can listen to this show live without being a part of the premium content, but if you want things like the Q&A with Shock Linwood and the backstory to Tevin Williams and his commitment.
Yeah, the Jason King piece with Shock Linwood's up right now on the front page, and Tevin Williams, I just wanted to make mention of him, the first out-of-state commit for this class of 2021. All the other players, the other 5 that had already been committed, are from the state of Texas, including Jordan Jenkins, who joined us last week. But Tevin Williams out of Stillwater, a corner. So that's their third pledge in this 2021 class that's with the secondary. So you can see them trying to revamp that group, and it makes sense. You got a couple of young guys, JT Woods, Christian Morgan, and those types, but you do need to get some depth behind them.
So I believe that Charlie has a do not disturb for numbers he doesn't recognize on his phone. So it's going right to, I just sent him a text and told him to call me back. so that we can get him.
I just texted him the number.
He must get a lot of junk calls and things like that to have that set up. So, back to Tevin Williams. Grayson's got much more on him, so look forward to hearing from Tevin on his decision and why he went ahead and pulled the trigger for the Bears. But 6', 172, also had offers from Air Force and Arkansas State, Eastern Michigan, New Mexico, SMU, Texas Tech, Texas State, and Toledo. So corner number 1, pledge number 6 for the class of 2021.
Jason King will join us a little bit later in the hour. Obviously, Charlie Ward will be the priority, with all due respect to Jason, when we get him hooked up. I just sent Ward a text about calling your number, Paul, so be ready for that. Jason's the one that did the Q&A, expected to be with us at 3:50. D.W. Rutledge, longtime executive director, Texas High School Coaches Association, Converse Judson, all the things he's done. He's going to join us today at 4. FFT, right? I'm not sure what that means.
As we're on air producing here, Charlie Ward trying to get him on the air.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just if he just calls the through. So,
all right, hold on, just a minute. Okay, so D.W. Rutledge and Taya Cooper from Baylor at 4:20 on the eve of the WNBA draft. Steve Diassi does Boston radio, owns a restaurant up there, a cigar bar, former Super Bowl champion, played with the Cowboys, Giants, a couple of other school teams. He'll join us today. John Machota on the Cowboys and Adam McClintock on that Matrix Analytical all-decade college football playoff between like 128 teams that he picked based on rankings, ratings, whatever else. And also, by the way, Baylor has 5 teams in that top 128. So all of that is, of course, on the table today.
A watch pot never boils, apparently. Just going to put that right there.
Yeah, I don't. You want to just use my number?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, hold on.
I'm going to have to connect your Bluetooth and everything, so.
No, this just try to. You want to call that again? Try to call him again.
Okay.
See if it goes through. All right, and so that's all happening. Randy Galloway will join us tomorrow at 4. Man, what an interesting conversation I had with him.
I can imagine.
Interesting conversation I had with Randy Galloway. All right, he's calling in. That sounds like we just got, we went through the front of Walmart and we weren't supposed to do anything.
Hold on 1 second. I'll put you right on.
You know what's amazing is how relaxed I am with what we're doing now. In the past, I would have blown a gasket, right? Yeah. We are thrilled to have former Heisman Trophy winner Charlie Ward of Florida State with us on SicEm365 Radio. Charlie, is it ever really former Heisman Trophy winner? Is it always Heisman Trophy winner?
I guess it's both.
Charlie,
I'm a former.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm a former a lot of things, but I guess I'm always whoever that is. So, whether it's Nick, no, regardless of what it is, I'll be those forever.
Charlie, with playing 2 sports at the same time, you see Kyler Murray now, his first pick in the draft last year. They didn't give you the same kind of leeway to do what you wanted to do during your basketball season. Do you ever look back and wonder what if, or does that not really matter anymore?
No, I don't think it matters anymore. I think it's a new day and age. Times have changed, and the NFL now, they have different styles that they cater to, as opposed to when I was coming out, 26 years ago. The style was really, one-dimensional. So they were looking for a certain type of guy and size, and that whole deal, and I didn't fit the bill. So, but I'm happy for to see guys get an opportunity that can move a little bit, maybe a little bit smaller, but when it's all said and done, they've grown to the fact that regardless of what size player may be. It's about production, and whoever can get that done, will get an opportunity.
Charlie, how were you able to handle the transition from a football season ending and then getting into basketball from the position that you were playing at quarterback? I mean, we see guys in college do that from time to time, but it's rarely ever the quarterback that's actually doing that. So how were you able to manage playing both sports collegiately?
Well, actually, with me having to sit 3 years as far as quarterback, playing quarterback, it gave me an opportunity to get my feet wet on the basketball court. And so really, that's where I got all of my, got my start as far as competitive edge or playing, doing my, well, I really want to start. I was a punter my freshman year. But the next 2 years, I got an opportunity to play basketball, 1 year full-time, and then the next year part-time before the football season ended. So that's really, how I was able to transition my junior and senior year, because I had started, made a name and for myself on the team. And so when I came back, people knew what to expect, and it was an easier transition for me because I had an opportunity to do it for 2 years.
When you see parents, and it's not always the parents, it might be coaches or whoever that are trying to encourage young athletes to just focus on one sport, and you're an example of you could do it all, and there's many others. What do you say to them about just trying to focus on one thing instead of being an overall athlete and enjoying their young childhood or even high school years?
Well, I'm for. I've gotten to the point now where I've heard a lot of different stories, and everyone's situation is different. And my situation, I just enjoyed playing ball. I was an athlete. And so, I actually have a book out called The Athlete. That's the reason why, because all I wanted to be was an athlete. And so I enjoyed it all season, And, but in our time, even during my time, there were kids who only played one sport. And some played multiple sports. And so it's really not anything different, today, except for now it's, national news, and injuries. Research has shown that there are certain type of injuries that go along with focusing on, a certain sport. But, injuries happen all the time. But I just believe that, you have to be well-rounded. I know my daughter, she's a soccer player, goalie, and she doesn't play in other sports she would like to, but she has music. She's a violist, and she does community service work. And so she's has academics to focus on as well. So that's just another another way of looking at. She only plays one sport, and that's her main sport, but she has other focuses. So when people start, kids start wanting to focus on a specific sport, my issue is, not to do it in middle school, because you don't know what sport you're going to thrive in if you're, an athlete. And so I'm a big proponent for, if you're going to focus on a sport, allow it to be later in your high school career, so that you can see which sport you may thrive in. Because if you decide you want to focus on, say, basketball, then you may be a very good football player, and you may grow out of being a basketball player. And so you just have to prepare yourself for whatever God has in store for you. But there are times where people have to focus on a specific sport because they may be behind. and behind meaning developmentally, and also earning, sports. Earning some experience. And I heard this story just the other day that there was a kid. I was talking to his dad, and the reason why he's focusing on a sport is because in his high school there's about 3,000 kids, and I think he was basketball was his sport, and so his thought process is, in order for me to make the team, I need to make sure that I'm doing everything possible in my sport to make the team, because there's so many options out there competing for, a small amount of spots on the team. And so that's just another way of looking at it, because like I said, everyone's situation is different, and you just have to do what's best for your situation.
We are talking to Heisman Trophy winning quarterback of Florida State, Charlie Ward, NBA with the Knicks, and now a high school basketball coach in the state of Florida. Paul?
Charlie, you're from Thomasville, Georgia, right across the border from Tallahassee. Was there another school in your worldview when it came to recruiting, or was it Coach Bowden? Because you and he really line up personality-wise unbelievably. Was there anybody else that had a shot at you?
My second choice, when it came down to it, was University of Georgia for Coach Dooley. And so those are the two schools that it came down to whether I was going to attend. And, Georgia was another good option. But I chose to stay a little bit closer to home. And also hang out with Coach Bowden, because he had allowed Brad Johnson to play basketball. And that's something that I was wanting to do in college. And so that was another reason why I chose FSU. Outside of Coach Bowden and being closer to home, it was just his history of allowing guys to play multiple sports.
Could you take Brad Johnson one-on-one?
We've had a few games during our day.
Yeah, I bet.
The Bull is pretty competitive.
Oh, yeah.
You're now a part of coaching, and you were at Houston, I think it was Westbury, wasn't it, here in Texas? And I remember having you on a couple of times when you were coaching here in the state of Texas. And so that's in your blood. Athletics is in your blood. Was it easy for you to transition from an elite world-class athlete and then coaching people who may not have the same skills as you do?
That was my initial thought. As I started the transition, because my dad was a coach, and not so much that I didn't want to be a coach, but I just thought that I did a lot of things that were natural, and God had blessed me with some athletic ability. But once I started thinking about it and looking back, it wasn't all just that. It was more of people grooming me, giving me the fundamentals that I needed to be able to use my athletic ability, and teaching me, the game. I had been taught a lot over the course of my career. And so once I started thinking about it, and Coach Van Gundy gave an opportunity to do an internship with the Rockets after I retired, and I was working with a lot of the young guys that were coming in that were on the team, and I started to enjoy just the teaching aspect of it and giving them drills that I was given, and I worked on and done over my career, and so it was really something that I started to like. And once I got into it more, I started getting older. So physically, I couldn't do anything as far as playing, so the next thing was to be able to give back the experiences that I were afforded from, a lot of the coaches from middle school, peewee ball, all the way up to my professional career, to be able to give back to young men. And so I was grateful when I was given that opportunity by Greg Glenn over at Westbury Christian to get into high school football and basketball. and so that's my passion, to be able to give back to young people and give them some, allow them to dream, and share with them my experiences to be able to help them get to where they want to get to.
Florida State basketball this year, probably the best and deepest team since maybe even, I know they've had some good teams the last couple of years, but you're the 93 team that lost to Kentucky in the Elite Eight. How disappointing was it for you, for alums, for people to see that team not get a shot as well as they did, winning the ACC like they did?
Yes, I mean I think they were more disappointed than not without getting an opportunity to compete for it, whether it's the ACC championship, the tournament, or get an opportunity in the NCAA tournament to play for a championship. And so, it was very disappointing for, just everyone in general not getting an opportunity to finish their season from the basketball perspective. But we had a really good season, and the team here was very deep and had some very good basketball players. And I know, a couple of them have, transitioned or will be transitioned to the NBA early. Had a couple seniors. But this team here was very special in the sense that they played defense, played great offense, and of course they were always unselfish. And so this is one of the most, I think he's had some very talented teams that have done some great things. But I do believe this team here would have had a chance to at least make it to the Elite Eight, Final Four. That was their goal, is to get to the Final Four, and I think this team would have been capable of doing that. But just like everyone else, we're in the fantasy world, video games, trying to dictate or determine who would have been the champion or whatever the case may be. So hopefully we can get it back next year. I know we got some guys coming back and some new additions, and so we'll see.
Charlie, you when I reached out to you about joining our show, which we started a week ago yesterday, kind of told you a little bit about our story and then how we were able to get and land back on our feet pretty quickly, the resiliency of what people have. And you've had to become incredibly resilient with not only what you did on the football field, but what you've done as a human as well. You have been through quite a bit. You had last summer something that was devastating to you, and you have bounced back from that with what happened on a mission trip when you had a stroke. How can you try to describe in a way what that's been like and maybe how you could also help inspire others?
Well, it's actually been 2 years ago.
Okay.
When I was on my mission trip to Mexico. I had a mini stroke, and it was, shocking in a sense. But I'm grateful that I was able to recover. My wife was there with me. That was another blessing. Because the years before she wasn't there, and just that year she happened to be there and be able to navigate to get me to where I needed to get to, so I could get the necessary help. So definitely grateful for that. And there are people who have strokes and heart attacks and a lot of other things, and we're able to live and tell about it. And so I had to make some changes. One was I know I had just gotten out of a stressful relationship from work, and so that more than likely played a big part in the mini stroke. And then that led to bad eating habits and just a lot of different things that happen when that combination comes into play. And so I've worked to change diet, do a little bit more exercise, which my lifeblood when I played was exercise, and I got to a point where I burned out. But now I do a little bit more exercise than I normally did during the course of that time, and changed eating habits to where I'm plant-based diet. And so, just like anything else, when there are challenges in your life, you're either going to find a way to fight or you're going to find a way to give in. And so I've chosen to find a way to fight and improve what I can improve and let God do the rest.
I also told you that, and Charlie Ward, Heisman Trophy winner with us, and I know we need to wrap it up with you. You've given us plenty of time and a lot of time, is that our co-host, one of the co-hosts, Craig Smoak, my son is here. I'm David Smoak, but Paul Catalina is an FSU alum. That's okay. He's still allowed on the show, but you won the national championship beating my favorite college program, which is Nebraska, and it kind of almost launched them into a great run because it showed they could play with Florida State, which they had not been able to do in a long time. What was that moment like? Because that was a really, really intense game. And you had the long scramble at the end that set up the field goal. You had the fourth down conversion. What was that moment like for you?
It was a great moment for our team, school, Coach Bowden, because we had been so close for so many years leading up to that point. And we were a team that was able to get over the hurdle as far as winning a national championship. And yes, it was a tough game. People were not giving Nebraska the credit that they were due because the year before we beat them, I think, by 14 points or so. And so people weren't really giving them any credit or thought that we were going to win the game easily. But we came in with the mindset that it was going to be a tough game, and it was. They did a good job of disrupting our offense when it came to, our receivers, and they actually hit me late quite a few times to try to shake me up. But when it was all said and done, our defense, we had a very good defense that we leaned on all year. And we had a very good team. And so we were always capable of having a breakout, whether the offense, if we were struggling, or the defense. If they were struggling, we knew that they were always capable. We were always capable of putting stops together or making plays on the offensive side to keep drives going, and because we had playmakers and guys who can make plays. And so it was, a championship game. That's what a championship game's supposed to be. Two teams competing at a high level. And we were afforded opportunity to at least have the ball where we could use some time. And we got down close enough to kick a field goal. And we did, which, that hadn't happened in a while. Because we had missed some field goals to get to the championship game, and Scott Bentley was our freshman kicker. He had great poise and put it through, and then our defense, was able to get a stop, and they missed the field goal. So the moment was, a very good feeling because Florida State had never won a championship before in football. And so to be on the first team was a great feeling.
Have you gotten to know Coach Norvell at all yet?
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's one of his first days here. First couple of days, I got an opportunity to meet him at where I currently coach at Florida State University School, and so he was over there visiting. And so I ran into him on my way out and got a chance to meet with him. And then we've kind of developed a relationship over the course of his time here. So we're excited about what he's doing so far. And we're looking forward to, the season starting up hopefully in, August, whenever they start.
Yeah, we just don't know. Charlie, thank you, sir. Appreciate you for jumping on, for responding to me, and then being a part of the show. We appreciate you so much. Congratulations on everything you've accomplished and what you will accomplish in the future as well.
All right. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Charlie Ward, Heisman Trophy winner, national championship quarterback, now a high school basketball coach in Florida. and someone that imagine that just 2 years ago in June suffered what was a mini stroke. And, you always hear like it's a mini stroke or minor surgery when it's not, somebody else. But great guy, fantastic, did a great job at Westbury. He's been a part of our show. Okay, now a couple of different things. We were going to have Jason King of SicEm365 on about his Q&A with Shock Linwood. I think we're going to move that back either to 5 o'clock hour today or possibly into tomorrow. But coming up next, I feel like every day or so we can try to give you some inspiration as well. You heard what Charlie Ward's story, what Trayvon Bromell. D.W. Rutledge, longtime executive director for years of the Texas High School Coaches Association, is about to give all of us a little pep talk during this time. He's next on SicEm365 Radio.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In this day and age, you must be able to change how you do business. Think outside the box to ensure that you service your customers. And at Waco Custom Marketplace, we've created our own drive-thru for your Monday, Wednesday, and Friday shopping needs, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you can still order and enjoy from our great butcher shop and bakery, including 2 pounds of 8-ounce salmon fillets for $24.05, 2 pounds of 4-ounce catfish fillets for $4.90, sliced ham or turkey, American cheese and smoked sausage, fresh chicken breast, 3.5-pound whole chickens, sliced bacon, boneless pork chops, 80/20 ground beef, 4 pieces of sirloin steak or 4 pieces of ribeye steak from $19 to $35. Marinated beef or chicken fajita meat plus a loaf of bread. Fresh carrots and Idaho or red beef potatoes or white onions. Pinto beans and white rice, flour tortillas. So the great product, customer service, and tradition continues at Waco Custom Marketplace with a drive-thru only Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. At a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Duggan rolls, looking Rager's way, throws, and picked off. Braylon Arnold stepped right in front and made the pick for Baylor.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. When life is stressful, there's an ideal solution. Ideal MRI. Here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
When you hear the name of D.W. Rutledge in Texas high school athletics, and you hear the name of D.W. Rutledge when it comes to Texas high school football, longtime executive director of the Texas High School Coaches Association. He won and was dominant as a head coach, won a state championship at Judson as a defensive coordinator, and then, of course, over the next 17 years, had a record that's unheard of 198, 31-5 for the Rockets. And D.W. Rutledge joins us, SicEm365 Radio, here on the show, on this time of when everything is so unknown and weird. DW, I reached out to you, and thanks for being a part of the show. Paul and Craig are with me as well. I thought it'd be nice. You are known for the power of influence, and all of you've done. I heard what Jeff Traylor has said about you when he was being introduced at UT San Antonio, and even what others have said. When was the first time you said something in front of your team and it actually, you felt like, man, I can do this, I can inspire kids?
Well, that's a good question. Back when we first started really doing the mental training stuff is probably the first time, and that was Dennis Parker was there with us, and Dennis and I really got into the coaching to change lives. Character curriculum stuff that we wrote together, and so as we was putting that together, I think that's probably when it all started.
Do you have a favorite speech you've given, or something that really landed, that worked, that you still go back to?
Oh, I have some, that I still go back to. It all depends on the situation, David, but I have some that I've gone back to. But right now there are things that you see. There's things that we learn from sports that can help us in trying times like we are right now. When things go south and adversity hits, I believe I've always believed that a great challenge can be defeated by great teamwork, and it's not just about what the individual wants. It's about what the team needs, and we all have a responsibility for the welfare of others, and we've got to always be thinking the thought of team first. And that's just like right now. I think the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its people. And I always used to tell our players in adverse situations to have this strong thought, as when things are the toughest, and that's when I'm my best. That's when I shine, and I think that's where we're at right now. But here in Texas and across the nation, if we hang in there, we'll get through this thing together. But it's as we've seen our leaders in government, it's a teamwork deal, and so I think we learn a lot from athletics that's applied to our lives, and those are things that you try to impress with the kids, getting them to learn life lessons.
What have you heard from the high school coaching community? I'd imagine it's very difficult right now. It's difficult for everybody, but not being able to be around their young men and young women, not being able to have their spring practices. But the biggest thing, not being around each other, that camaraderie that you build, DW. How difficult has it been for these coaches to not have answers to questions like we all do, but to not have that ability to be with the kids that they are with every day?
Yeah, that's right now during this time of year, of course. Spring is the most busy time of year as far as high school sports are concerned. You've got all of the spring sports going on with track and baseball. And soccer's just over, and you've got those things going on, and you've got your off season going on and trying to build your team through the off season, and some of the most important team building takes place as far as football is concerned. Takes place during the off season, and these are really critically important times for a high school coach, and them not being able to be with their kids and being and the kids not being there as a team working together, competing together, and doing the things that it takes to build a team and build that camaraderie within the team is really critical during this time, and they don't have that, and we've never. I can't think of a time that we've ever been in a situation where we've had this type of thing where you canceled state track meets and basketball tournaments, and kids have worked all through their high school careers to get to a point where they can compete in those state competitions, and it's just yanked out from underneath them. It's a tough time for everybody, like you said, but it's really tough for the kids and the coaches as they've worked hard to try to get to a point to be competitive in a state competition.
You would obviously, the coaches are not the bigger schools. 5As and 6As don't get to have spring drills. Everyone, if in fact we're even at normal in August, if they start working out, we don't know. How much does that hurt? That you mentioned a lot of what Craig asked you, but how much does it hurt not to have those extra practices in a spring game as you head to the off season where they can go do 7-on-7 or whatever else they would have normally done?
Yeah, well, and a lot depends on what the coach is used to. There's a lot of coaches that coached in 3A and 4A that have come up into 5A, 6A, and that they don't do spring ball because that's not what they grew up with, and that's not part of their deal. But the coaches that have done spring ball all through their coaching career, it makes it really tough for them. You get a lot of questions answered during spring ball, and sometimes they're not the answers you want, but you get a lot of questions answered during that time, and you mentioned Coach Traylor going into UTSA and him not being able, coaches like him that are still trying to learn their team and put in a new offense and a new defense. Boy, that's just such a critical time for him that he doesn't have. He's not getting, and there's a lot of high school coaches that are in that same situation. So it makes it tough, and it makes it tough for the kids. I think you do a lot in building your culture through the spring. I think is really a critical part of it.
D.W. Rutledge, longtime high school football coach, executive director for years of the Texas High School Coaches Association. I went to Randolph. I was a Rohawk. And
is that right?
Yeah. Bob Mickler is someone that, other than my father, as far as a role model, was someone that, and he was nuts. But, I mean, he was unbelievable. And you know what a lot of people don't realize, just like Katy wasn't great a long time ago, and two teams that kind of they blow them. Judson was not that good. And then all of a sudden, here comes the run that you were a part of as an assistant and then a head coach. What changed? Was it just a culture? What changed to make the Judson Rockets a perennial power?
Well, of course, they started growing at the beginning. Judson was a small team. I mean, they were, when they first started off, they were like a 1A football team, and then they continued to grow out in that area. And about the time that they would get to where they was at the top of a classification and could compete, they'd get kicked up to the next classification and be at the bottom of the numbers. Mm-hmm. And so they went through those growing pains, and then once they got got into 5A, 6A type numbers, then that growth continued, and I think that had a lot to do with it. We had great moms and dads in that community that had a lot to do with it. And we had great athletes, so that, as you know, that always has a lot to do with it. So I think once they got through that growth spurt, I think that gave us when we finally got to the top level where we weren't getting kicked up to the next classification. So and then we were blessed with a great coaching staff. We had some great coaches that coached at Judson and had the same type of philosophy and worked well together. And then we had a good administration as well that really supported us. So just a lot of things came together.
It's been amazing to see the growth of Texas high school football over the last few years. I mean, just so nationally recognized, and it's been that way for quite a while, but it just seems that there's more attention on it than ever. DW, you're a guy that a lot of coaches in the game right now look up to, are inspired by. They listen to your words. Who was that guy for you?
That was Jim Wacker. Coach Wacker was my college coach, and I played small college at Texas Lutheran College when they were NAI, and got to be with Coach Wacker quite a bit. He was a positive guy that everything around him was the best. This is the best team, or you're at the best school that you could be at. Everything was the best, and he had a great. He just inspired you, and the way he lived his life, he's a strong Christian, and he was just a great inspiration. And I was fortunate enough to see him put in his program as a player at Texas Lutheran, and then he went to North Dakota State, and I went with him there to North Dakota State and got to see him put in his program as a coach for him, and then I went to Texas State, and a couple of years later he got the Texas State job, so I got to see him put a program in there. So I've got to see him in a lot of different phases of establishing a program and putting it in, and that's the guy that really inspired me and made me want to be a coach.
DW, if you don't mind, would you take a couple of minutes to, for those who have, just kind of wondering what's going on, those who might be, struggling a little bit, or just you want to give us a little motivation here for a couple of minutes?
Well, I think that as we talked about earlier, I think we all have a responsibility in this time that we're in. We're in some real tough times, and of course it's not tough times like war and where people are getting killed by war, but they are getting killed by a virus, and it's got us concerned, and it's got our country shut down. It's got people losing jobs, and the best things that we can do is just to come together and be like I talked earlier. The greatness of a community is measured by the compassionate actions of its people, and I think in Texas we've got some great communities that meet that, and I think we just got to continue those things and continue to do the things that we need to do to defeat this virus, and as our leaders mark the things that we need to be doing, we need to try to follow that and get our country back to moving and back in business. But yeah, I don't know the right word to put to what we need to do right now. But I do know that we need to put God first in what we're doing, and we need to work together to get through it.
Thank you, DW. Appreciate your time. DW Rutledge, yes, Converse Judson, 4 state titles, one also as a defensive coordinator before he took over as head coach. 198 wins, 31 losses, and 5 ties in the 4 state titles, and then a longtime executive director of the Texas High School Coaches Association. The power of influence is what he is known for.
I see him all the time getting quoted by high school coaches. I mean, that's a guy they no doubt all. I mean, he's the man for Texas high school football coaches.
Yeah, I agree. And when coaches are introduced for the first time as head coaches in college in Texas, and they refer to him, they all refer to the Texas High School Coaches Association. Mac Brown, of course, was famous for that. Matt Rule jumped right into it with Wetzel and McGuire and Sean Bell, and even Aranda made those first 2 or 3 days on the road and seeing as many people as he could, as you should. When we come back, Taya Cooper, All-American guard from Baylor, the upcoming WNBA draft, her comments and her insight next on SicEm365 Radio. At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas. Our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. In today's world, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. We even offer financing. Everything's included in the price, and more importantly, you'll not get a bill in the mail later on. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule an appointment safely from home, online in minutes at idealmri.com, or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI. And please remember to follow CDC guidelines and practice social distancing. Stay home, except for the essentials, and be safe, and together we'll get through this at idealmri.com.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
We are facing some unique challenges at this time. We want to do our part to support not only our community, but our medical providers who are really overtasked right now. Governor Greg Abbott has required dental offices to postpone all elective dental procedures, but still be available for dental emergencies. At this time, dental emergencies are those that are defined as something that would make somebody consider going to the emergency room for treatment. We're offering to see you at our office Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 8 to noon, and we will waive all fees. We're doing this to support the community and support the medical system. This will allow the overtasked medical community to focus on the truly needy at this time. In the midst of what seems to be so much gloomy news, we want to send a positive signal of our faith in our community and in each other. We're all in this together.
We're all in this together. We are all in this together.
We're all in this together.
We are all in this together.
We're all in this together.
We're all in this together.
We are all in this together.
We're 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 all in this together.
We are all in this together.
We're all in this together.
We're all in this together.
We're all in this together. Thank you and God bless.
The WNBA draft is almost upon us as they continue. Really, is that not, Paul, Craig, is that not the first event?
It's Friday.
That's coming up this weekend, but isn't that the NFL draft's in another week? So it's really one of the first things that you can actually say, oh, this is happening. Of course, in a different way than a lot of ways because of what's happening with the social distancing. Taya Cooper, former Baylor All-American guard. She's ready for the draft. We've heard from Lauren Cox. We hear from Taya Cooper. Obviously, La Vega's Juicy Landrum involved in the possibility as well. Taya, are you nervous? Is it kind of a excitement, nerves? How would you describe as you lead up to the WNBA draft?
It's definitely a lot of excitement being that this is where you've dreamed of your whole life, and then it's a lot of nerves because you have no idea where you're going. It's a lot of emotions.
How does the process work? Because obviously you can't go work out for people. Do you send them videos? How's it been for you guys?
So Zoom has been the way for a lot of teams. Some have been just regular phone calls, but they send you a link for a Zoom meeting and you meet with all the coaches and they ask you questions. And the WNBA doesn't really do workouts, so the most they can do is a phone call and get to know you like that.
Do they ask you any crazy questions like we hear about with the NFL draft?
What do you hear about in the NFL draft?
Like just like kind of random, are they all just kind of straightforward questions, or they have some fun with some of the things that they ask you?
Well, a lot of them have been like, how have you been able to, try and stay prepared for what you hope to come, which is the season and training camp. And then a lot of questions are either concerns or stuff they have about you, or how do you feel like you'll fit in their program, or what do you expect coming into the WNBA, stuff like that.
You have what seems to be the game that should transition straight from a high-level national championship program at Baylor into what is the WNBA. Do you feel comfortable with the fact you can just step right in and that this is going to be something that's not a difficult transition for you?
Absolutely. I played against a lot of great people getting to this point, and I feel like I have a lot of people that helped me along the way to get here and prepared me for this moment. So I feel prepared and ready, and I'm just hoping that it happens.
How much better do you think you got from transferring and playing under Coach Mulkey for the year that you did?
Apparently, a lot of people feel like I've stepped my game up a lot, being that I shot from outside more, and I was in a point guard position, and I had a lot of different roles. So I feel like I've learned a lot due to Kim and the coaching staff and my teammates. But yeah.
What were you able to learn about Kim? Obviously, you felt good enough when you made the decision to transfer to Baylor and got to know her there. But being under her for almost an entire season and getting to see her day in and day out, what did you learn about Kim? And I'd have to imagine you guys were very excited about that Hall of Fame call a couple weeks ago.
Absolutely, it was well deserved, and her passion and some passion for her players and her love and energy and effort that she brings every day, it just transfers to everybody. And it's a wonderful thing to experience and be a part of. So I think I just learned consistency from her, and just if you get the opportunity, knock the door down. So
the ironic part of you transferring to Baylor is then having South Carolina on the schedule pretty soon into the season. Of course, that was a game in which Lauren Cox didn't play. South Carolina has a fantastic team. You know that. You played with them after playing against Baylor the year before in the tournament in Greensboro. Did you want that game badly again, or are you just going to take whoever you were going to play in the NCAA tournament?
Honestly, I don't care who we was playing. I wanted to play, and I wanted to get to the championship game. Whether it was South Carolina, Oregon, Louisville, whoever it was, I think we wanted all those problems. So
I think I know what you're going to. I think I know what you're going to say to this. We had Lauren on last week, and I asked her the same question, but I'm curious from your perspective. The last game you guys played was a loss to Iowa State on the road. Was the next team that you guys faced going to be in really big trouble because you guys ended with a loss?
Woo! Unfortunately, that sparked a lot of fire in us, and we had some very tough practices, very tough conversations, and I think that was the turning point in our season. So I think everybody was gonna have to worry about us after that.
Taya, how long did it take for you to come to grips that your college career had ended? Was it something that hit you pretty hard initially? I mean, I'd imagine it hit everybody hard, but how did you kind of handle that news and just the weight of it and knowing that you weren't going to have the opportunities that you thought you were going to have?
Well, we were on the plane when we got the call, and they stopped the plane, and we didn't fly to the Big 12 tournament. So I thought it was just getting postponed, and then she said we could go home. So then I was like, I thought we were just gonna have spring break, and then maybe it was gonna come back. But at this point, it's over. And sorry, my dogs are barking.
It's good.
But at this point, it finally hit me that it's over because I'm getting ready for the draft, and I mean, the draft kind of took over the hurt. So I'm over it now. Nothing I can do.
Yeah, you got to move on. It's the next part of the journey. It's part of resiliency and just moving on. Where do you expect? What are your expectations about when you are drafted?
I don't have no expectations. I just hope and pray that I get drafted, and whichever team I go to, I'm happy and I can't wait to meet them.
Obviously, you can't have, if you're normal situations, you're probably going to have as many people as you can in a house. Who will you watch the draft with, and what will that be like? I know with social distancing in place right now.
I'm going to watch my mom, my dad, my twin brothers, Omar and Sharif, and their two teammates, Isaac and Stretch. I think it's going to mean a lot to me, being that my brothers have always looked up to me, and they get to be a part of this with me. And Isaac is getting drafted in like a few weeks. I think they go after us, so I think that's exciting that we both getting drafted, and they get to witness it with me. So it's a special moment.
And there are a couple of mock drafts. I know you haven't paid much attention to this, but there's a couple of mock drafts that show that there's a possibility you could be coming back to Texas to play in Dallas.
Yeah, I saw that.
I just happened to notice that. So Lauren Cox might be in Indiana, and of course Dallas has the second pick, I think, and also the 9th pick in the draft. Mm-hmm. Taya, you're very classy, and the way you played the game was spectacular. It was so much fun to watch you fit in and see what Baylor. Of course, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened along the way. But thanks for your time. You always had a smile on your face, but you played the game with incredible passion and intensity. Thanks for your time, and good luck on Friday.
Well, thank you so much.
Taya Cooper, Baylor guard, will be a most likely top 10 pick in the WNBA draft. Ionescu 1 to New York, then Sabali from Oregon.
Just so tired of hearing about her.
Number 2 to Dallas, Lauren Cox, which might be better that she doesn't go to Dallas. Dallas doesn't play in an arena that's kind of, that it seems like it's as nice as some of the other ones. And then Atlanta, let's see, Kennedy Carter, fantastic score at 4. And then you keep going on. Dallas has 5 for the first 9 picks.
Was this Paul's WNBA mock, or was this somebody else's?
Taya Cooper at 9, at least again. Beatrice Montpremier, possibly a top 10 pick out of the University of Miami. When we come back, Tevin Williams committed today to Baylor from Stillwater, Oklahoma. He's next on SicEm365 Radio. Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be, with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodway. PettyClinicLowT.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like these, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illness and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI. And please, remember to follow CDC guidelines and practice social distancing. Stay home, except for the essentials, and be safe. Together, we'll get through this.
Our communities are facing unprecedented times. At Boozer's Jewelers, we care about you and your family. If you're like me, your home has unwanted or unused jewelry lying around. They can have value, and that means we can turn that jewelry into instant cash. This is a great way to get the most value from your unwanted jewelry. At Boozer's Jewelers, we buy all kinds of unused jewelry. So give us a call and let us give you peace of mind and cash for your unwanted or unused jewelry.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. And a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
All right, here we go. We mentioned earlier Jason King. He'll join us tomorrow. He was scheduled for earlier, but Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Charlie Ward was on with us. Jason King has a Q&A with former Baylor running back Shock Linwood that's up on SicEm365.com in the premium section. And then also the story about Stillwater cornerback out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, Tevin Williams, who committed today to Baylor. That's in that premium section as well. But he's also on with us, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, and I'm David Smoak. Tevin, what's it like just to get the decision out of the way, and why today?
Well, it's pretty relieving. I wanted to make my decision sooner rather than later because I just wanted to get the process over with and then be happy with the Baylor because I know I'll be better off with going with them in the long run.
With Dave Aranda coming in, a defensive-minded head coach, they've got Brian Stewart who's going to coach defensive backs and others. What was it that was the big hook for Baylor that made it happen, that matched your style with theirs?
Really with Coach Aranda coming in and also Coach Stewart with his experience coaching in the NFL, and he produced some really good guys, and I felt like they could make me a better football player.
Where do you feel like your game can stand to improve, Tevin?
Really, I've been aiming to working on setting up my change direction and getting more comfortable with making quicker cuts.
How much are you missing being in a normal environment, getting ready for whatever you would be doing at this time of the year as a part of your team or workouts or whatever you can do in the state of Oklahoma, or just other things you would be doing during the spring? How much is it kind of, you're kind of frothing at your mouth trying to get out and do something?
I'm really bummed about it because I was looking forward to this upcoming track season because I was aiming to go back to the state regionals, and I was hoping to get first in the 100 But also we're missing out on spring ball, which is extremely tough because that would have been great. Just getting back at it and getting ready for the season in the fall.
Tevin Williams, Stillwater, Oklahoma, is our guest on SicEm365 Radio.
Would you describe yourself as a ball hawking corner? Do you go get the ball?
Yes, I do. I love it when the quarterbacks throw up a ball going for a jump ball because most people are used to corners that don't jump with the receiver, but I like doing that.
Tevin, how familiar were you with Baylor prior to your recruitment beginning? Was that a team that you watched growing up? What did you really know about the program prior to now being on their radar?
I watched a lot prior when I was growing up with Robert Griffin III, mainly.
Let me ask you this. Of everything you've said and what I've read about you and what you said to Grayson or what you said in this interview, you want to do pre-med. Is that, this football is something you love. Athletics and competition is something you obviously love. But give me a little history about how that kind of crept into your focus and what you want to do in life.
Well, I've had a knack for helping people get through hard times. And then I researched about it a bit, and I found out that I can become a clinical psychologist in medicine programs and all that. And then with Baylor's pre-med program, that would be a great path for me.
Clinical psychology, why that path of medicine?
Because clinical psychologists diagnose mental disorders, and it's like a counselor and a doctor all in one, basically, and a therapist.
Where'd that passion come from?
For me, helping people get through their problems and just being able to talk to people about anything.
Without being personal or getting to it in details, have you had to yourself watch somebody that's battled through that and been able to get out of it or work through it?
Yes, I had some friends going through tough times and having some pretty bad thoughts, but I was able to help them bring them to a better place.
And that's really good. We had Charles Haley. That's old school for you, but he's a Hall of Fame, 5-time Super Bowl defensive end, played with the 49ers and Cowboys. And we had him on the show yesterday. And Tevin, he's sitting there telling us how after 5 Super Bowl championships, he never enjoyed them because his life was it was a struggle. He was always depressed or not happy. And it was great. So it's interesting you would bring that up or you would be a part of that. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. We're talking to Tevin Williams. He committed to Baylor earlier today. There were some other schools you could have, of course, picked. Why was Baylor so easy to be the one you chose?
I felt it was easy with the whole coaching staff and just the way the fans are and the whole campus.
Tevin, what have you been able to learn about David? Who's been the coach that you've talked to the most, and kind of what was their reaction once you passed along that you were ready to pull the trigger?
I've been talking to Coach Stewart and Coach Blankard a lot, and then when I called Coach Aranda earlier this morning, he was ecstatic, and he said it was his day.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you're commit number 6. Do you know much about any of the other guys in the class, or you just? I know this is all happening today, so don't get me wrong that you're that far down the line. But are you familiar at all with any of the other commitments?
I'm familiar with a few with Cisco and the running back that committed the other week.
You and Cisco talked about what you guys could do in the secondary together.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah.
All right. So what? You mentioned why you did this and what are the reasons, and you got it out of the way and all this stuff. And what does it mean? Can you focus now, even though there's not really much to focus on? Is it allowed you to clear your head and just worry about what's coming up in the future?
Yes, because I can just focus on our season in the fall, and then on Saturdays I can focus on Baylor rather than talking to a whole bunch of schools.
How many siblings do you have, if you don't mind me asking you? How many brothers and sisters?
Well, I have 3 biological siblings, and then I have 12 siblings altogether.
Wow. Big family.
Yes.
Which is the sister that plays basketball who's so good at that?
My younger sister, Janaya.
Janaya? And how old is she? What grade is she in?
She's in 7th grade right now.
And she's, like, pretty good?
Oh, yeah, she's really good. She won the national championships twice.
Oh, wow. That's really impressive.
Okay, so let me try to put this together. Now, you'd be gone by the time she may play college. You'll be out by the time she plays college basketball. But they get on they get the college teams, the elite teams like Baylor, UConn, and whoever else. They get on the girls basketball players at even a younger age.
Yeah, at about the same time. So I would think, Tevin, maybe Kim Mulkey will be calling your household here pretty soon and try to get another member of the family on board.
We lost you.
No, he's there.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, hey, Tevin, congratulations. Thanks for your time. We appreciate you jumping on with us. I know it's been a long day. Get some rest, relax a little bit, and stay focused on whatever you can right now.
All right, thank you for having me.
That's Tevin Williams, again, wants to be pre-med, wants to go into pre-med. Cornerback.
Clinical psychologist is what he is going to be aspiring for. So that'll be, a lot of school work, but we saw guys like Marcus Jones and plenty of others who are able to balance football and school, and he'll be challenged, but sounds like he's ready for the challenge. So Aranda had his day made, apparently, with that phone call this morning, and a nice little addition for the Baylor recruiting class.
And Joey McGuire will join us, by the way, Friday on the show Friday. Randy Galloway is tomorrow. Tevin Williams, there's a story from Grayson Grundhager in the premium section of SicEm365.com, as is the Q&A with Shock Linwood, the all-time career rushing leader in Baylor history. And, man, how that career at the end, how many things went so sideways with the team, with him. Remember, he just randomly just walked up in front of us last year when we were doing a tailgate show, a pregame show, and he was very amiable. I mean, he's kind of...
And when I talked to a couple of his teammates, I was just, hey, we just had Shock, and they said, really, he's here?
Yeah.
I mean, they were surprised.
All right, coming up, Paul?
Steve Diassi.
Steve Diassi won a Super Bowl, played with the Giants, Cowboys, and much more. Is a Boston radio show, owns a restaurant, a cigar bar. He's a man of many things. He's next on SicEm365 Radio.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In this day and age, you must be able to change how you do business. Think outside the box to ensure that you service your customers. And at Waco Custom Marketplace, we've created our own drive-thru for your Monday, Wednesday, and Friday shopping needs, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you can still order and enjoy from our great butcher shop and bakery, including 2 pounds of 8-ounce salmon fillets for $24.05, 2 pounds of 4-ounce catfish fillets for $4.90, sliced ham or turkey, American cheese and smoked sausage, fresh chicken breast, 3.5-pound whole chickens, sliced bacon, boneless pork chops, 80-20 ground beef, 4 pieces of sirloin steak or 4 pieces of ribeye steak from $19 to $35. Marinated beef or chicken fajita meat plus a loaf of bread. Fresh carrots in Idaho or red beef potatoes or white onions. Pinto beans and white rice, flour tortillas. So the great product, customer service, and tradition continues at Waco Custom Marketplace with a drive-thru only Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed. Smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. And a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's Group Meal.
Next in line.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Welcome back in to SicEm365 Radio. Paul Catalina, David Smoak, Craig Smoak, live from our Petty Low T studios. And we're joined now by Steve Diassi, a man of many talents off the football field. I mean, played for the Cowboys, Giants, Jets, Patriots, owns a cigar bar, owns a restaurant. Steve, is there any other businesses we need to list before we jump into the interview? I don't want to shortchange you on all the stuff that you're into. Hosting a radio show?
I basically try to get into businesses where I'm covering all my vices, cigars and steaks. And I used to work with a Harley dealership a few years ago, and so I basically find ways to jump on things that I'm interested in, things that I enjoy, and those are all of the above. Although I was listening to your commercial for the Southwest Sports Medicine there, and you were ticking off a list of all the things they do. I'm like, yes, I got that. I need to slow down a little bit, maybe. That's all. So it's all good though. So it's fun and it's enjoyable, and I work with some great people, and even though with all the issues going on right now, we're just trying to find ways to make sure that the staff is set. We're closed. We've been closed for almost 5 or 6 weeks now, and probably going to be closed for the 5 or 6 weeks. But now it's just about trying to make sure the staff is good and everybody's together. And so it's just crazy times right now. But when the cigar bar and when the steakhouse is open, it also happens. They both happen to be in a casino also, so that just triples the fun there. So it's all good and it's enjoyable. And never thought I'd get into the business, but I had some advice early on. Somebody said, "Do what you love," and I couldn't do football anymore, so I transitioned into other things that I enjoyed.
You are a part of course, Sports Talk Radio. You've been, I believe, on Radio Row many times. You've played in the NFL, won a Super Bowl. We've actually had you on before. I covered you back when you were playing with the Cowboys at a training camp or whatever else. How much fun was it after you play the game, then you stop to play the game, but you get to still be a part of it in a way by doing a talk show?
Well, you know what's going. You guys experience it every day. You get to interact with people on a different level. You get to actually talk to them about what they're thinking, and talk to them about how they're feeling about a team or a player. And you get to talk to players too, and you hear some things that might be familiar to you from your playing days, and then you tend to learn some things. And the more you're around the game, the more you learn. And Dave, I'm sure you've seen the same thing. The more people you talk to, it's rare that you're not surprised about something going on in sport one way or another. And I think that's the biggest thing. You get to talk to the fans in a different way. You get to talk to your athletes and coaches and ownership in a different way. So it just opens up. When you're playing in the game, when you're playing in the NFL, you've got tunnel vision about how you get better tomorrow and how you improve and how you win that next game and how you move on. And now you can sort of kick back a little bit and kind of, you never, as a player, even in 12 years, you never really thought much of it. You never thought about being anything special or whatever. You just thought about trying to win another game. And now you get a sort of a better feel for how the fans felt about it and what the rest of the people in the game, you're concerned with your position coach and your teammates and your head coach and team doctors and trainers, and that was pretty much an isolated scenario. But being in the media kind of gives you a different perspective of it, and I kind of enjoy it.
Steve, you were taken by the Cowboys in the 4th round back in 1984. I'm interested because the draft process for prospects this year in particular, like just life for everybody right now, is very disjointed and very different from the norm. What was the draft process for you like back then?
Well, if you remember, that was when the USFL was playing a part. The USFL, fortunately for me, I was actually Donald Trump's first round pick that year, and it was what happened was the salaries almost tripled within a year. I mean, you looked at the total contract that I had. I think it was 110th pick overall compared to the year before. It was 2.5 to 3 times as much. So all of a sudden, money started opening up. You had guys, guys like Too Tall and Randy White and guys that were, just 2 years ago were making $60,000-$70,000 to play, and then all of a sudden it opened up. So the draft process there was a lot more interesting, and I can remember when Gil Brandt called me and my agent somewhere in the early 2nd round and said, "There's a rumor out there that you've already signed with Trump and the New Jersey Generals." And I'm like, "I didn't do that. Where did that rumor get started?" He's like, "Well, I don't know. I don't know how it got started. I just know it's out there." So I was like, so we actually negotiated my contract before I was ever drafted, and that kind of set the bar for for a little bit before that and a little bit after that. I kind of set the bar for where the money was going to go that year, and it was just now it's a lot more scientific. There's a lot more numbers. There's a lot of people crunching incredible numbers, but it still comes down to, can you play football? Can you look at a guy on film? Can you talk to a guy? Can you talk to his coaches? If I appreciate all the science, and I appreciate all the math, and I appreciate all the different inputs that you might have on a player, but you got to have people in your organization that can look at film and say, "Yeah, this kid's a player. This kid could play at the next level." And I'm not sure that all the technology has given a much better look at that, but they do. What they like to do with all those numbers is to mitigate their mistakes, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I love the whole process. When my son got drafted, I never discussed it with him when he was coming out of college. When he got drafted, I was reading every publication possible, looking at every website, and so it's a science now. But the problem is, you're still dealing with human beings, and you just never know how a kid who's playing in college and is a star in college, if he's ready to step up to the next level, and that has to come from talking to a kid. That's why this year's draft is going to be even more interesting, I think.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and you are the epitome of what a lot of young men, when they're drafted, there's the high round guys, but is special teams, and that's kind of how you made initially a name for yourself. Can you try to describe? Like, we had a young man from Baylor, Jamison Houston. He'll get drafted most likely the 3rd day.
Yep. Who
knows in what round? But he's very talented, very physical, good player, great program last year. But he's going to have to probably play special teams. Do people like lean on you and ask you a little bit about the importance of understanding that's what you need to do as a rookie?
Well, the young men that I've talked to that were coming out in the draft, it's the rare guy that comes in and starts right away as a rookie, and you've got to find value for your slot. You've got to find a way to put something on the table that the coaches say, yes, he can help us win, and that's really what the coaches are saying. They're not saying, okay, this kid runs fast or this kid is strong. They're saying, can he help us win? Or good coaches are saying that. Can he help us win? And my thought process was, my dad told me early on. He said, when you go to camp, just volunteer for everything, and let the coach decide whether or not you can do what you just volunteered for. Now, when I volunteered to snap and to cover kicks, that worked out great. But when I volunteered to return punts, that didn't work out so great. So the idea that you can bring something to and you've watched so much football, you know how important special teams can be, and really the biggest thing there is not making big mistakes and doing your job and not getting penalties. If you show a coach that you're reliable on special teams, you've been drafted or you're a signed free agent. You've already got the athletic ability to play in the league. Now you got to show the coaches that you understand what it takes to be a contributor to a successful team. And I think that's the majority of draft choices. I think that's what you're looking at in terms of making the team. Well, your first through fourth rounds are going to make the team probably, but anyone beyond that, they got to find another way to contribute. And then with good coaches, like I saw with Tom Landry and like I saw with Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick, with good coaches, what they do is if they see you making some plays on special teams, then you might get a little shot at a little situational defense here or there. You might get a shot at doing a little receiving work or whatever it is. You might, but you got to show them that you understand some of the basics of it, and special teams are about as basic as you can get. You got to block, you got to run, you got to make open field tackles, you got to avoid guys. It's about as basic as it can be. So I can't tell. I'm not going to sit there and tell Chase Young or Tua that they got to pay attention to special teams. But anybody past the even fourth or fifth round, they got to know that that's a way to get your foot in the door. And once you get your foot in the door, that gives you the opportunity to show them you can play the rest of the game too.
You won Super Bowl 25 with the Giants, one of the most exciting Super Bowls, intense endings to a Super Bowl in history. And most of the time, I think fans talk about Scott Norwood and what it was like from the Bills' end, and that was the first one of 4 that they lost. Nobody really talks about that moment and what you guys were experiencing. In that moment, what's going through your head as Scott Norwood's lining up for the kick?
It's funny because if you remember, that was the first Gulf War that was going on in '91 that year, and the security in Tampa was so incredibly intense. I mean, everything from helicopters to snipers to troops to there were no cameras allowed in the stadium. Nobody could bring cameras in. So the day before, I had stuck my video camera in there and I walked away and I left it in my locker. And so at halftime, it's a tight game and we still think we're going to win. So I grabbed my video camera, wrapped it in a towel, and gave it to one of our equipment guys to bring this out to the field for me. So I actually came off, went, he showed me where it was. I grabbed the video camera and started taping the entire. I was the only non-network camera in the entire stadium, and I taped the thing from the sideline. I wasn't on the field goal block team, so I taped the whole thing from the sideline, and I couldn't. That's back in the days of the one little thing with the lens that you stick your eye in. It wasn't like a screen that you were looking at like you got nowadays. And I'm sitting there, and I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell until one of my teammates behind me just jumped on me and was hugging me. And so my thought there was, get this on tape. Let's see what happens. And it could be phenomenal. It could be the most depressing video ever taken. So that game was just so back and forth. And quite honestly, if their Buffalo wasn't so in love with that K-gun offense with Kelly throwing the ball as well as he did, they could have run the ball with Thurman Thomas even more and probably would have had a better chance to win the game. But they still had the opportunity, and I look at that ring every day and thank God for my teammates and for the coaches and for everybody that was able to contribute to that win. And again, as is the case with Belichick and Parcells' teams, everybody seemed to contribute one way or another. You couldn't look at anybody on that field and not know that they didn't contribute one way or the other.
Steve, if you don't mind, you were with the Cowboys initially, as we mentioned, and then that's when Jimmy Johnson came in. Now, you won a Super Bowl like the year after you clashed with Jimmy, and they eventually had a great run. What was it? Because he was obviously different. And Everson Walls, same story. And he goes on to win a Super Bowl with you as a teammate in New York. What was that time like?
It was really interesting because, you're talking about great college coaches and staffs, that you've seen in the last 30, 40 years. And when they came in, the feeling amongst the vets was that he was kind of treating the guys a little bit like they were in college. Like if you didn't do what you're supposed to do, you're going to pull your scholarship or something. And I really thought at that time that this isn't going to work out for these guys. And then you talk to some of the guys that were still on the team 2 years later, And they'll tell you right away that they saw the same thing early on, but that Jimmy and his staff learned real quick about how to get the most out of grown men, out of professional players, like they did college players. Two different approaches. It's easier in I'd say it might be a little easier in college to get the response that you need from your players, but in the pros, you got a lot of grown men with a lot of personalities and a lot of testosterone going around. And so you got to find certain ways to get it out. I'm not saying you got to baby guys or soft shoe it or whatever, but you got to find ways to get the most out of these guys, whatever it is. And good coaches like Jimmy Johnson, if he needed 53 different ways to motivate 53 different guys, he'd find that. He would find a way to get those motivated. With some guys, it was as simple as you don't do your job, you're gone. That's all. Quite honestly, that's all the motivation I ever needed. But some other guys need to be talked to a certain way. Some guys need to be dragged along by their teammates. Some guys need to be just put in the right direction. And Jimmy and his staff, Dave Wannstedt, they turned into a tremendous staff, and it was really that first year was a learning curve for them, and I think they figured it out so quickly that you could see what kind of success they had, and I don't think anybody anticipated it happening that quickly, especially when you were there the first few months that Jimmy was there. But you talk to the guys that played in the Super Bowls and whatnot, and they'll tell you that he learned very quickly how to approach the professional game.
Steve, thanks for jumping on with us. It's a crazy time. I told you our story. I appreciate you reaching back out to me. It's a pleasure to have you. We've had some guys from the past. We had Nate Newton on, yesterday.
Nate's the man.
Oh, yep. Yeah, and many others. Yep. But thanks for being a part of the show. Good luck with everything getting back to normal with what you do as an entrepreneur. And hopefully we'll see you soon, maybe again at the Super Bowl. Hopefully by then everything's normal.
It sounds good, Smoak. I appreciate that. Thank you. Congratulations on the gig, and keep it up and keep good work going.
That's Steve Diassi, Super Bowl champion with that great game, as you mentioned, the wide right, Cowboys, Giants, Jets, and Patriots. He was an All-American at Boston College as well. All right, when we come back, the draft is approaching very quickly, like 8 days away. John Machota from theathletic.com covers the Cowboys. He's next, and what else, anything about Dak Prescott? This is SicEm365 Radio. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We are open to support our community through this crisis. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sauce and drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue.
Next in line.
Waco, Texas, our city of remarkable growth and opportunity with an even brighter future ahead. What makes it all work is our people, living, working, and growing together. And we're proud to be from here, helping and serving the community we call home. We are the First National Bank of Central Texas, taking great pride in being locally owned and operated. Come see us at any of our 5 convenient locations. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
River Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, with Crown Royal Peach in stock right now and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate at 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Baylor trying to go 6-0. Hasty to the end zone. Touchdown! Baylor wins in double overtime.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. When life is stressful, there's an ideal solution. Ideal MRI. Here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Any NFL draft coverage from now through the draft brought to you by Richard Carr Motors. We welcome them as one of our newest sponsors of SicEm365 Radio. Thanks to Lance Aldridge, Richard Goff, Richard Carr, and the great staff at Richard Carr Motors. We're now joined by John Machota. TheAthletic.com covers the Cowboys. John, how much is this Dak Prescott party? Is this done or not?
I think it is. I think everyone learned a valuable lesson here that you probably shouldn't be meeting with whether it was fewer than 10 people or more than 10 people right now, because regardless if you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys or just in the NFL, a professional athlete, it just doesn't look good. And, we're in a time when people can't even visit with their families, and then you have friends over and things like that. And obviously, I don't think it was that close of friends, everyone there, because he was leaking stuff out to TMZ. So it just isn't a good look. Obviously, you guys probably heard that the police were called at one point. They went over there, and I think Dak learned that he probably can't be having people over right now. And I know that upsets a lot of people, because there's a lot of folks out there who aren't doing anything. They're just staying at their home, and they're not visiting relatives and family, whether, it's a holiday or a birthday or whatever. So not a good look for Dak Prescott, but I don't think that you're going to be seeing any more videos or pictures coming out about him having people over at his house.
All right, as we inch closer to the draft here, just over a week away, the Cowboys you've seen all their official calls and all that. What does that make you think about where they're leaning, particularly the fact that Jalen Hurts was included on that?
That one was the most interesting to me. To get Jalen Hurts, I think you got to do it probably in the third round. I just don't see, with all the other holes they have, that they would take a quarterback in the third round. But it was intriguing. But I go into this draft thinking that there's just so much that needs to be done on a defense that I would be surprised if on their first three picks, one isn't a defensive end or edge rusher and the other one isn't a corner or safety. They need so much help on that side of the ball. I just can't see them really even going offense, let alone quarterback, early in this draft at any point. And so while it's intriguing to have a Jalen Hurts on there, I think the focus needs to be more towards guys like LSU edge rusher Caleb Chason and Florida corner C.J. Henderson, and the possibility of one of them being there at 17.
John, I saw where there's no decisions being made on Aldon Smith and Randy Gregory from the league as far as reinstatement goes. I mean, Randy Gregory, I don't know how long he's going to be a story that kind of has this same sort of, end every time of just, hey, no decision. But, I mean, this was all expected, right? So how much do you think the potential of those two guys potentially returning plays into draft plans at all, or do they not even consider that as far as what they're looking at?
I'm sure it'll consider a little bit, but not very much at all, because you can't count on either of them guys to, well, one, they're not even reinstated yet. So to get reinstated and then to both be in the shape that you want them to be in and then go on the field. And Randy didn't play all of last year. Alden hasn't played in 4 years. The idea that they're just going to come back out here when we're not going to have regular off seasons and they're just going to hit the ground running if and when the season starts, that seems like it's asking a lot. It seems like if you're a team that you're counting on that, you're not being run very well. So I highly doubt that that's going to prevent them from making any picks. Like I said, like a Calebon Chason, like another defensive end, whether it's the first round, second round, a Curtis Weaver, a guy out of Boise State. Obviously, I love their Boise State guys. I can't see how that would impact them on not taking an edge rusher. The minute that they knew that they weren't going to be able to, bring back, I don't know, I'm thinking of his name, Robert Quinn, sorry. I thought right at that point they knew that, hey, this is going to have to be it's the biggest thing we go after. And if they don't get a guy, this is what's interesting about this draft, though, is if they don't get a guy then that they really like an edge rusher, does that make them more interested in J.W. Clowney, who stunningly is still a free agent right now?
He is. It's weird.
We've all forgotten about that.
Yeah, and he's obviously someone that when he's engaged, he's phenomenal. But I don't know. I'm wondering. You think someone's going to give him crazy money, John? He's going to get big money, right? Cowboy, can they?
Well, they've wanted to. That's what he wants is the big time elite money. Obviously being a former number 1 overall pick, that's what he's looking for. And I think he's finding out right now that not many teams are really interested in doing that. So his number is going to have to come down. And so, hey, if it starts getting in that neighborhood of what they got Robert Quinn for last year, or even, like a $9-10 million a year for. See, this is the thing. The longer this goes on, maybe a guy like that is like, hey, I want to go somewhere where I can do it on a prove-it deal, and maybe you'll get him for 1 year, and he'll be willing to do it for maybe $10-11 million or something like that, and then the Cowboys see it being worth it, like a Robert Quinn 1 year thing, Greg Hardy 1 year thing, even though obviously we know how well that worked out, but then that's potentially an interesting thing, because that's why Robert Quinn, it's a 1 year deal, so Robert Quinn could get back out into the free agent market after he was traded, and obviously that worked out well for him. He played 1 season, got a ton of sacks, and made a lot of money.
How early do you think they would address the center position in the draft if they do, given the fact that they already have Joe Looney in place and he's proven a capable starter, and they have McGovern and all these different things they could do to move the line around?
If they didn't draft Connor McGovern last year in the 3rd round, I would say in the first 3 rounds, center would be in play for sure. But because of McGovern and then bringing back, like you mentioned, Looney, a guy that they already know can play an entire season and start for you if needed. And then they also have Adam Redmond as a guy that they like, who just hasn't gotten a lot of playing time because, they've had Travis Frederick on the roster, obviously. So I don't see it being a very high pick. It keeps coming back to the defense for me. I'm going to be surprised if they take an offensive player in the first 3 rounds. I really will.
Who do you like? Who are a couple of guys? You mentioned Calebon Chason, but who are a couple of other names that Cowboys fans should maybe have their eyes on?
As much as this team seems to neglect the safety position, Xavier McKinney from Alabama is really interesting to me, just because he's a guy that he could come in and he could start at safety right now, and you'd have a guy that if they took him, I don't think they would take him at 17, but he's intriguing to me if they potentially traded back, because let's say at 17, C.J. Henderson and Calebon Chason are by far the 2 guys that I would like the most there, and I think that they do as well. But if neither of them are there, maybe they look to move back, 4 or 5 spots. Then that's where McKinney comes into play. Grant Delpit, the safety from LSU, guys like that. Then, or the other corners. There's other. It seems like the number 1 corner is Jeffrey Okudah from Ohio State. He's going to go top 5. And then C.J. Henderson seems like he's gained a lot of steam. He's the clear-cut number 2. He'll go somewhere between probably 10 and 17. And then the next guys are like Trayvon Diggs, the big corner out of Alabama, who's Stephon Diggs' brother. He'd be intriguing for me too there, anywhere, and if they move back a little bit from 17, And then early in the 2nd round, like I mentioned, or in the 2nd round, they got pick 51. The Curtis Weaver kid from Boise State, he hasn't really wowed, but he was really productive, and he's a guy that obviously the Cowboys love Boise State players, so I can see them being intrigued by him. I always say this guy's name wrong, but Penn State edge rusher, I think it's Yatur Grados. I can't even say his name right now, but yeah. I just did a mock draft and I had him going to the Cowboys in the second round, and he's a guy that they've met with, an edge rusher out of Penn State. So really, I mean, it's like anybody in those positions are the ones that I think make the most sense, and they would be intriguing them. I know people are in love with these wide receivers, and they'd love to see a CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy fall to them at 17. I just don't think that's realistic. And then with all the other needs they have, I just don't think it makes a ton of sense for them to draft a receiver in the first round. The
connection to what you mentioned with Chason, his father, Kelvin, who was killed back in 2014 at a very young age, that's a Baylor legacy that was a heck of a player at LSU, and Baylor was involved in recruiting him as well. The Travis Frederick, Paul mentioned about the center. How important is it to have the veteran, just an old grizzly guy like Looney, and I'm not saying he's too old. How old is he, Paul? Like 29, 28? Yeah, he's at 12 years old as a heart. He's so fun. But to have that guy that just seems like you always have someone, if a guy goes down, he's just experienced enough, big enough, physical enough, smart enough to be able to take on that role. And the fact that they had just signed him before Frederick retired.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great addition, no doubt about it, because he not only can fill in at center, he can fill in at both the other guard spots. But if you're going with him for 16 games, there's a significant drop-off from what Travis Frederick was. And really, to be honest with you, if they go with him for 16 games this year, or they go with Connor McGovern, they're not going to get the same production they got out of Travis Frederick, even last year when he wasn't clearly 100%. I mean, you're just going to have to. It gets to a point where it's almost like I compare Dak's situation to almost the Russell Wilson situation in Seattle. When Russell got in there was just be the bus driver, make some plays here or there, but there were good enough players on defense that they would win the game, and there was enough veteran players on offense. But what happened is eventually, you can't re-sign everybody, and you got to keep Russell. And so some other guys, you just can't have that elite roster anymore. So what has to happen? Russell Wilson had to step his game up. That's what Dak Prescott's going to have to do. He's not going to get the same protection that he got with Travis Frederick in the middle. He's not going to get that out of any of the centers. I don't care if they took a center at 17. He's not going to get what Travis Frederick was giving him. I mean, that's where you bank on that after 4 years of being your starting quarterback that he's ascended. But man, if Dak Prescott didn't have Travis Frederick his rookie year, there would have been a lot more growing pains, because Travis did a lot of stuff at the line, not just making calls, but just the protection and everything in general. And so, whoever they're going with at center, it's not going to be close to what Travis was. To me, that's the biggest offseason loss for them, is Travis retiring.
If they draft an offensive position in the first 3 rounds, would it be wide receiver or tight end?
Yeah, it's got to be one of those. I would say that it would probably be wide receiver. I'd lean towards that just because I think the wide receiver class is, if not the deepest, one of the deepest positions in this draft. And so I think there's a lot of options there that I could see potentially maybe in the 3rd round. It's kind of like a Michael Gallup situation where they see a guy that they're like, man, we had this guy as a 2nd round grade, and he's still there because maybe a run on wide receivers went earlier in the draft, and there's some good players sitting out there, and they're like, we can't pass on this. And then maybe in the 3rd round, you take a guy like that. But the tight ends they're not as loaded, and I think that's why they went and signed Blake Bell, to kind of cover them, so that if they're not, a good tight end doesn't fall to them, like Cole Kmet from Notre Dame, then maybe they can sit there and wait till later rounds for a project, or they're not forced to kind of take one. But yeah, it would be wide receiver. When I was mentioning the Penn State kid earlier, it's Yetur Gross-Matos, and he's a right defensive end. So that's a name to keep an eye on. I know the Cowboys have had some interest in him.
We'll just start calling him YGM.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, John, go back out to Prosper and kind of stalk a little bit. Golly, the things you guys have to deal with at times, but it is what it is. Thanks for your time, John Machota. Hope to hear from you every week at Wednesday.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
From theathletic.com. You have the Cowboys beat right. And other teams, there's things we just don't, you're not right there, but it turns into a monstrous thing. And Dak did have the statement, and so did the Cowboys, and who knows. Hey, this is an interesting story. Jason King will be tomorrow. So we're going to have Adam McClintock from CFB_professor. He's the one doing the all-decade college football playoff. He's going to join us in the next segment. But I got this from a listener. David, I don't know if you guys know this, but you're continuing to kill it. But I also want to know if you know this. St. Edward's University in Austin dropped 6 sports today. 6 sports today because of COVID. Cincinnati yesterday dropped soccer, which they were thinking about doing anyway. We saw what Baylor did yesterday with the changes in their budget and what they can do. And they were healthy as they could be. You know, you wonder about if we got too fat and happy at athletics, if this is an opportunity to perhaps get things back under control. And I'm not saying that they were out of control, but some people probably think that they were.
I think it's everything. I don't think you can boil it down to one point. I think there's schools that are bleeding, and they're having to make decisions to stem that bleeding or to prevent it from occurring in the first place. And I think you're seeing companies and universities who are probably in some cases eliminating things that they didn't have that much care for or that wasn't providing them with as much bang for their buck, even if it was beneficial in other areas. And they're not saying that this is the case with every change that's happening right now, but you know, it's funny that some businesses can go fire a bunch of people, then they'll get that fat bailout to save them. You know, but there's a lot of companies, businesses that have already pulled the trigger. Others have waited. It's just been kind of interesting to see who's tested the waters and who's gone ahead and just pushed forth with making a bunch of changes. We saw the WWE today eliminate about 30 people from their company, so it's happening everywhere. But yeah, I think some of those athletic cuts, that's just something that you have a more convenient reason to do it now. You can just say, oh, it's related to COVID. It may not be, but hey, nobody's going to really question it. So that's what I kind of think of, especially when I saw the talk about Cincinnati already kind of not being in love with having that program to begin with, or it wasn't really doing much for them. So they were like, hey, might as well get rid of it right now.
Well, Mac Rhodes made a point yesterday about if enrollment drops, especially significantly, then that's money they're not going to have. And it's going to start affecting staff like professors. So what professors do you have that are teaching one class right now that now have to maybe teach three? Mm-hmm. Or who do you have to – all these things are going to change. I think, and what my genuine hope – because the reason we've had to do all this and the reason this has affected us is because we had things in place all across the board in this country that were run ineffectively. And we're seeing how ineffective a lot of these things are and that they need to change. So let's change them. Let's not just hope things go back to normal and then we can plug it back into the old system. Let's rebuild the old system so it fits for things that could happen like this.
Well, yeah, Mac made a comment last week. He said you can argue about when talking about the distribution of March Madness money and how much that actually is for the individual schools and how many schools are going to be incredibly hurt, even those with money, by not having that large chunk of millions that head their way. And he said, you know, you can debate after the fact on whether or not that's a good idea to have it set up that way. But right now it doesn't matter because that's the way that it was set up, and that's what we're now having to deal with. But that comment stuck with me because it's clear that, you know, he and probably others now view some of the things they were doing and go, we can't do it that way anymore because situations like this may pop up, and we weren't really doing it in a good way now that we look at it, and we need to your point, change that for the better.
You could pick any kind of government or large structure thing, sure. Healthcare, university system, pick it out. And it's grown outside of its effectiveness when it comes to when you really need it. And that's why we need to use this time. We've got all this free time at home.
Yeah, let's
use it for some good ideas.
Yeah, it's a change. You know, the bailout money. If I think in some cases, I don't know how this is going to be received. I don't care. I think in some cases there were businesses. Don't you both agree that this COVID stretch was a Hail Mary for some?
Yes, absolutely. And a bailout's not always a good thing. You know, there are some businesses that absolutely need, like, let's give them bailout. Let's make sure that they can stay open. Let's make sure we can guard small businesses, people that do good work. But there are some businesses out there that a bailout's only going to make things worse for them.
It's only going to, you know, help maybe initially, and it's not like every owner is going to use that bailout money towards its employees. That'll probably go for some people to bar tabs and other, you know, extracurricular activities rather than to the people who is helping to make them money. So, yeah, you can't even count on that with every business.
Yeah, if you run a business poorly, if you've already almost run it in the ground and then you still get money from the government even if you've made changes,
well, then
it doesn't mean you're going to take whatever they give you. It doesn't mean you won't ruin that and
yeah, exactly.
screw that up too.
If you suck at a business and you've lost all this money, I'm just going to give you more money to lose.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's not going to change.
That's kind of like, and I mean, everyone can have their own personal. I've learned this too. You mismanage money and you keep going back and you get more loans and you get more loans, and all you're doing is delaying the inevitable.
I mean, I'll just give a good example. Stonewood Dental, fantastic business, one of our clients. They're doing things. They're obviously, he's going to take it on the chin financially a little bit, but he's run his business well. So if he gets a small business loan, the net money is going to be used effectively because he knows how to use the money.
Exactly.
But if you have a business that wasn't being run well and was essentially, putting all kind of Band-Aids on it anyway, well, this is just a bigger Band-Aid, and eventually you're going to bleed out.
All right, we were going to have Adam McClintock, CFP_professor. He put out, been 2 or 3, maybe even longer, a 128-team all-decade college football playoff. And yes, Texas and TCU and Baylor and Oklahoma. I would think that 2011 A&M was it 2012? Johnny Football is a part of that, among a couple of others. And yes, there's the Clemsons and the Alabamas and the Ohio States. We'll come back and talk with him, Adam McClintock, on this all-decade college football playoff next on SicEm365 Radio.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In this day and age, you must be able to change how you do business. Think outside the box to ensure that you service your customers. And at Waco Custom Marketplace, we've created our own drive-thru for your Monday, Wednesday, and Friday shopping needs, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you can still order and enjoy from our great butcher shop and bakery, including 2 pounds of 8-ounce salmon fillets for $24.05, 2 pounds of 4-ounce catfish fillets for $4.90, sliced ham or turkey, American cheese and smoked sausage, fresh chicken breast, 3.5-pound whole chickens, sliced bacon, boneless pork chops, 80/20 ground beef, 4 pieces of sirloin steak or 4 pieces of ribeye steak from $19 to $35. Marinated beef or chicken fajita meat plus a loaf of bread. Fresh carrots and Idaho or red beef potatoes or white onions. Pinto beans and white rice, flour tortillas. So the great product, customer service, and tradition continues at Waco Custom Marketplace with a drive-thru only Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long business meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game. Adam McClintock, and this was interesting as as I'm going through various things, looking at stories that might be of interest, including what the discussion with the vice president and other members of the college football playoff committee, the revenue, so much. But Adam McClintock is CFB_professor, and he's about matrix. And so he joins us now. He has started, and I don't even know where you are in this, Adam, because I've had a couple of things I'm working on as well as we've launched this new show on SicEm365 Radio. You wanted to do an all-decade college football playoff. Would you have done this had we not been where we are with all of what's happened with COVID-19 or whatever it's called?
Oh, probably not. It's one of those things that kind of came about because I saw all these polls on Twitter of people going back over the past 30 years and determining who the best team was of the past 30 years. They were using basically polls on Twitter for people to vote on, and I'm part of a fan base. I won't name any names, but we're undefeated in online polls. So it's usually not very scientific. So I wanted to create something that was more, numbers based, that wasn't so opinion based, that could give us the best team of the last decade. So what I did is I just took my projection model that I have and have had every year since 2008, and I retroactively got all the past years up to the same, model revision that I currently have. And using those team index numbers, I can go through and I can determine just in a playoff who was the best team of this last decade, because there was a lot of good teams. And I think that's a question that a lot of people would find interesting, especially everybody at home during quarantine without any spring football to watch. So,
what was the most surprising result that you had when you put those numbers in and matched up some teams?
Oh, just the amount of elite teams there were in 2019. I mean, the top three teams of 2019 were probably in the top 8 teams of the entire decade. I mean, this 2019, I don't think we kind of take it for granted because it was just last year, and there hasn't been a lot of time to reflect on it. But those were 3 really good teams when you look at Clemson, Ohio State, and LSU. Those are 3 dominant football teams that just happened to all land on the same year. On the opposite end of that, 2010, the very first, that was a wacky year. My gosh, I'd forgotten how wacky that year was. When you had, Boise State was a Nevada upset away from playing for a national title. I mean, that's how wacky that year was that year. And just going back and we're kind of reliving those years year by year through the numbers and just realizing, how many of those teams do slip through the cracks as the years go by.
Who were the most well-represented teams? I would imagine Alabama and Clemson and kind of the usual suspects, but which of the programs really had an overwhelming number of entries?
Yeah, you're right. Alabama had the most. I think they were represented every single year. Every single Alabama team was on there. Yeah, so that's impressive. Clemson was represented quite a bit. I think there was only a couple years where they weren't involved. But Georgia Tech got in. In 2014, they had a team that finished in the top 12 in the AP, so they got in. You have Nevada in 2010 who got in because they finished in the top 12 in the AP, so they got in. South Carolina has 3 or 4 teams. I've forgotten how good South Carolina was at the beginning of the decade.
Yeah,
they have a few teams in. So yeah, there's some teams in there that you forget about that were really good at the beginning of the decade. That, like I said, it just kind of faded to memory.
Well, we know because every fan thinks that anyone that does something like this or is a voter hates the team that is their favorite team, and you obviously hate Baylor, and so. And you're not the only one. There's a lot of people that might, but the one that kind of got me was the 2014 Baylor loss to 17 Wisconsin. But you have them in the 4 of 5 times they're in this, and I think there's one game left that they haven't lost yet against Alabama. You have them against Alabama like twice and Clemson twice. You are a mean person.
I know, right? I get that from a lot of fan bases in this, but the way I seeded this, because that was another thing I struggled with, was how do you take these teams and how do you seed them? Because, I didn't want to use my team indexes, because then it'd just be straight chalk the entire way through. So the way I did it is I took, the final top 12 of the AP for every year. There were automatic qualifiers, and I took the next 8 highest vote getters who were ranked 13. And that's how I got my field of 128. Then I seeded them by taking, by first their final ranking. That was the first determining factor. But then the between the teams that were ranked the same, year over year, I took the amount of votes received. So, and sometimes, you see that little column that everybody ignores in the AP voting. It has the number of points that each team got me from their voting total. That's what I used to seed this with.
Yeah.
So, and Baylor, what that probably means is a lot of those teams finished in the 9, 10, 11, 12 range in the AP. And that's why they're getting matched up with some of these higher ranked power programs that were ranked 1, 2, and 3 in the AP at year's end.
Do you have upsets since it's matrix? Is that, like I saw, like Georgia beat Oklahoma 18, Georgia beat 19, Georgia, and Oklahoma was a higher seed. I saw Alabama beat somebody, and they were a much lower seed. So I guess, how does it play out?
Yeah, exactly. The way it plays out, the way the games are actually determined is I use my projection model that I use year after year to project these games and essentially project the point spread if these two teams were to meet on a neutral field. So, for example, one of the teams in here that is kind of a dark horse is that 2010 Boise State team that got upset by Nevada that year. That was a really good team. I mean, people forget how good that team was, and I think they're the 84th seed in this thing. And I think they're going to go farther than they're seeded. And today we had 2015 Ole Miss upset 2012 Notre Dame. So there are upsets. There are upsets in this thing, and it's just interesting to see how it shakes out.
Do a reset again. Adam McClintock with us, CFB_professor with us on this all-decade national championship playoff. Matrix Analytical. It's at Ath-Dept Edges, like athletic department edges, and some abbreviations with us on SicEm365 Radio.
Okay, I'm curious how people react when, this is math. You're just running math on this. You're not sitting there breaking it down and saying, well, 2019 LSU playing 2015 Ohio State would be better than this, and this because of these things. This is based on the math of this. How many people have lashed out at you, angry that your math is wrong and you're stupid because how dare my team not win?
Actually, nobody yet. Okay. It's kind of surprising. I've had a lot of comments of, oh my gosh, I wish we could have seen that matchup, or oh wow, that was a great team. I forgot about that team. Or I've had a lot of those comments. There was a lot of people who were excited to see the 2016 Washington matched up against the 2016 Michigan, and I didn't set that up on purpose. That's just kind of how the seeding fell. But that could have been an awesome Rose Bowl that year that never was. So just little matchups like that people have kind of gotten excited about. That's kind of why I set this up and am doing it, is to give some people who are, craving that spring football itch and not getting it, give them something to kind of follow and maybe talk about.
What do you have planned for the actual college football season if we don't have one, Adam?
I know, man, guys. Let's not go there yet.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I can't do this. I can't do this for another 6 months without sports. So
yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah, it really is. But I think what you are showing, and maybe the interest in that as well, and really anything like there's the WNBA draft, and it's going to get some. There'll be some just because it's something live, even though it's not what's going to be like with the NFL draft, and not even in the same universe. But there's people are they're salivating for results, like for matchups, for anything. Do you kind of get that same feeling?
Oh, absolutely. That's just poured through, through my mentions and stuff the last few days since I've been doing it. So people are just craving something to follow or something to break down or something to fans have to have something to follow. It has to be something that have interest in. That's what makes us fans. That's the whole definition of being a fan, is being, a follower of something. So when that's not there, when there's no spring ball, when recruiting is pretty much shut down, when all that stuff is gone, it gives people that an outlet for that fandom. And I think that's what I'm seeing on Twitter, especially for this thing.
Anything else, guys?
Nope.
Adam, good stuff, man. Good luck with it. And all emails you send to him if you don't like him. I mean, all these results. It's like if you vote for somebody, everyone's gotten so personal, so sensitive about
How
everything.
dare 2015 Oklahoma beat someone at something?
Yeah.
In math.
All right, Adam McClintock, thanks for your time. Adam McClintock with us. And it's a college football decade playoff. It's pretty simple. We just retweet. I'll just retweeted the I guess you could say the bracket. Just seeing a bracket after not having a college basketball tournament bracket, which we all fill out, it's pretty cool. Just names, not real stuff. But you want to know the results of the Baylor teams, guys? Johnny football, by the way, in 2012, they won. Let me go down the list here. Texas, 2 years ago, that Sugar Bowl team lost to 2010 Ohio State 30-17. Oklahoma State, 2010, they're a pretty good team, lost to Ohio State 40-30. 2013 Oklahoma, Craig, that would have been
2013.
Baker? No, that's way before him.
I don't even remember.
Lost to Boise State 31-30. Oh, of course. Let's see. Oh, you remember the unbeaten UCF? Oklahoma 17 beat them 55-45. There's a couple. TCU of 2017 lost to 2017 Ohio State. Baylor, now see, this was the 14 Baylor. This is really good. Lost to Wisconsin 33-31, the 2017 Wisconsin team. And Baylor is going to get beat by Clemson in the next. And then this 2013 Baylor Big 12 champions lose to 2018 Clemson.
That would have been a weird matchup. Completely opposing styles.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I wondered, and we never saw this when Baylor, with those teams with Baylor, they never played a straight up and down power run team that ran right up the middle all the time.
No, they did it to people, but they didn't.
Yeah, they never played anybody who ran.
No, because everybody was mimicking what they were doing at that point. Everybody was trying to suddenly go the Baylor route.
And a lot of times the team's weakness when they would get in trouble was, if you're going to run the ball, just run it right up the middle. They didn't have the strength at the middle as the biggest weakness of their team, and you could have maybe won those games. Well, when Kansas State beat them, it was running options and traps right up the middle because they weren't good at that and exploiting the defensive line. They never did that, and that's kind of a lucky break, where nobody ever said, hey, let's just go that way. Just go straight at them and see if we can beat them, because everybody was so afraid. That was the magic of that offense, is it made you so afraid that you just scrapped whatever you had so fast. It was 14-0. Well, that plan A's over. Throw it out, guys.
And then if you do, then you absolutely stick your head and fire.
Yeah.
It's 5:46, SicEm365 Radio. A couple of nuggets we didn't get to. We will next. Paul Catalina, David Smoak, and Craig Smoak. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We are open to support our community through this crisis. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue.
Next in line.
Waco, Texas, our city of remarkable growth and opportunity with an even brighter future ahead. What makes it all work is our people living, working, and growing together. And we're proud to be from here, helping and serving the community we call home. We are the First National Bank of Central Texas, taking great pride in being locally owned and operated. Come see us at any of our 5 convenient locations. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, with Crown Royal Peach in stock right now and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, in a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
All right, couple of notes here. Closing out the show. Thanks to a lot of our guests. We'll get to them in a minute. Started out with Trayvon Bromell. Tevin Williams committed to Baylor today. He was a part of it. Steve Diassi, Charlie Ward. Here's from Bruce Feldman, an additional point of concern an athletic director acknowledged to him about the prospect of games with no fans. I hadn't thought about this. That some fans may become less inclined to come back, thinking the experience of watching from their couch games in HD is much cheaper, more time efficient, and they might just get used to it and may seem more practical.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll just compare this to me personally. The only sport I was really kind of into just because of where I was living at the time and what was going on, and then it went away, and I realized I didn't care. I was really into hockey for like a 3-year period. And it's because I was living in Tampa when the Lightning won the Stanley Cup, and they won the Stanley Cup and then promptly went on strike, and I was so into it in that season because my friends and I were going to games, and we were having a good time, and I was like, oh, man, Martin St. Louis, yay! And then once hockey was gone for like a year and a half, it came back, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'll watch it in the playoffs when it's fun. But I didn't care as much anymore. That same thing could very much happen.
Well, if you're one of those programs that has, this attendance figure that you've been building towards, let's expand and expand and expand. You might regret that a little bit now that you're not going to have 100,000 guaranteed in your stadium, week in and week out. Now, I will say for the Michigans and certain programs like that, they'll still probably be fine. A lot of those fans will still show up and just be itching to get back. I think there will be a large portion of people that are just, itching for some football and some normalcy and wanting to, have some memories made in the stands of watching their favorite team play. But I do think there will be a good number of people that will hold off, and we will see some definite effect on the attendance figures nationwide when things do start back over. But that's the big question still right now. But certainly I think attendance will have to have been affected, and not just simply because of options at home. I think it's far more, I don't want to be around 90,000 people on Saturday because I had pneumonia before. Or I haven't had a job in 6 months because I got furloughed as part of all of these other job cuts, and I don't have money to go to a game. I mean, I think that's a far graver concern is why people aren't going to go for reasons that aren't just, oh, well, this is better than watching on TV. But then you add that into the equation, and yeah, that's a troublesome little trio of things right there. The comfort of home, the cheaper prices of being able to watch a game, and just the fear of not wanting to be around a bunch of people in a big setting again. So that's a triple whammy, and who knows what other factors may also be involved with that athletic directors are having to think about that we're not thinking about at the moment. So one of many problematic things that stands in the way of college athletics, but just sports and also just non-sports businesses as well. There's a lot of what we became used to that's not what we're going to be used to any longer, and we got to adjust accordingly.
Did I read I've tried to end almost every show with some sort of a direct message, an email, or something about what we've done or people who listen, human interest. Did I read the one yesterday from the guy from South Africa?
Yes.
I did?
Yes.
About Alfred
so,
Anderson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Wanted to make sure I didn't do that. All right. I've really it's been phenomenal. The reaction. Milo all day?
Yep.
Downtown?
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you give me that look? I mean, you're just throwing it out there, right? Was it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the specials? Is that what they have?
Yeah, they've lots of great stuff there. And again, it's all farm to table, so it's very fresh. Everything you're going to get is very, very fresh. Nothing sits around very long before it gets cooked.
11 to 2, brunch and lunch, carry out. Also 4 to 7, you can pick up dinner. So that's definitely a great option for you to have over at Milo all day. You can order online, carry out, and family meals. They got a very wide menu with a lot of different options for you to peruse through. The food looks great on the site. You got chicken, you got the True American for brunch as well. The Farmer's Daughter, another brunch item, and the list goes on and on. Patty melts, grilled chicken sandwiches, all that good stuff. So Milo all day, definitely helping you out in these times where we can't just go sit at a restaurant like we would love to do, but they can get you a good meal and deliver it to you. Get you to pick it up.
We have our founding sponsors, Ideal MRI, Petty Clinic, Boozers, First National Bank, Central Texas, Waco Custom Marketplace, Camille Johnson Realtors, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. I went by there today to get something to go. I saw Glenn there. He's great. Edward Jones with Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and also Tom Albers, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lance Donaldson Realty, Westdale Real Estate and Asset Management, and Stonewood Dental with Dr. Steve Childress, McLean Group, also personal trainer Christy London, Tyler Candle Company, and how about this, guys? Willis Law Firm.
Well,
David and Parker Willis, they're on board, and Richard Car Motors. Those are 2 brand new, and there's a couple of more that are just on the edge of joining this groundbreaking, unique way of listening to what we're doing, thanks to the great people at SicEm365.com.
Yeah, it's great, and love to hear Richard Carr on. We were. That's the last live appearance you and I did.
And it was a very successful one because they were going to give away tickets for the regional tournament, the women in Dallas, the men in Houston. It's very successful.
They love Richard Carr Motors and was doing their live reads for a very long time. Glad to have them on board.
And you'll be doing them again.
Yep, look forward to it.
All right, I want to thank Dylan Chapman. Dylan has been taking whatever we've done today and then putting it up on the worldwide web of sports.
Yes, and he is he's putting out those tweets of all of our interviews today. You can subscribe to us on iTunes and on the Google Store and on Stitcher and Spotify and TuneIn, I believe. So all those podcasts available, so you can go and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and SicEm365 Radio is there now.
Thanks to Grayson Grundhafer on the Tevin Williams story, Jason King, the Q&A with Chuck Linwood, that's both up in the premium section, Brian Etheridge and Ashley Hodge, of course, Colt Barber, who works, I think, never sleeps.
I don't know when he would have time to or want to. Colt doesn't need it. He's different.
It's built different.
Yeah. It's from the future, I think.
Every time I either go to sleep and then I wake up, I've got a text from him, or when I wake up early, he's even been up earlier and has already started something new.
By the way, I had our first productive discussions on an app. Gonna get option B on Friday, but either way, we're gonna be set up on an app pretty quickly. I think it'll happen pretty fast.
If you haven't followed at SicEm365 Radio on Twitter, there's instructions on how you can listen to us in the background on Twitter.
On Periscope. Yeah, so download the Periscope app, follow SicEm365 Radio, and when it asks you to play in the background, say yes, play it in the background.
All right. Craig Smoak, anything from you?
No, I just had a few notes. We can get to them tomorrow. I will say it was very interesting to see today with the news on the XFL last week that the WWE, who's now been deemed an essential business by the governor of Florida, although many people have an issue with it being an essential business, and rightfully so, because there's nothing essential about pro wrestling events right now, fans or no fans. But with that being a little bit of a controversy yesterday, given Vince McMahon's wife Linda and her ties to the government and positions she's held. They've released about 30 people today from their company. They were already overloaded and bloated as it was, but it was just very interesting to see with the recent losses we've been talking about for certain companies. They released like 10 producers, 25 people from their roster, and they're one of many that have had to do that. So that was some pretty big news just as far as the ramifications that we're still dealing with and those in the sports business and beyond who are being affected by it. And we'll see who it could be tomorrow, but hopefully we'll be getting more good news stories moving forward.
Thanks to our guest today, Olympic sprinter Trayvon Bromell, Heisman Trophy winner Charlie Ward, also D.W. Rutledge from the Texas High School Coaches Association, former executive director, Taya Cooper, Baylor guard, Steve Diassi, Super Bowl champion, talk radio entrepreneur. Thanks as well to John Machota, theathletic.com, Tevin Williams from Stillwater, Oklahoma, committed to Baylor, the cornerback, and Adam McClintock, co-founder of Matrix Analytical. For everyone who's a part of this, our great sponsorships, thank you. Spread the word. Thank you for listening whenever you do, however long it might be. For Paul, for Craig, for Dylan, I'm David Smoak, and good night.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas. Our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. In today's world, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. We even offer financing. Everything's included in the price, and more importantly, you'll not get a bill in the mail later on. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule an appointment safely from home, online in minutes at idealmri.com, or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI. And please remember to follow CDC guidelines and practice social distancing. Stay home, except for the essentials, and be safe, and together we'll get through this at idealmri.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Waco, Texas, a place with its own unique history and a future bright with promise, full of remarkable growth and opportunity. And what makes it all work is its people, families, raising children, growing businesses. Wacoans are hardworking with a passion for what's next, and we're proud to be from here, helping Waco to grow and prosper. We are the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC and